Good evening, everyone. I'll call to order the Ware Board of Selectmen meeting for January 13th, 2025, to order at 6:30 PM. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll open it up for public comment, and I'll just remind everybody that we do have a public hearing this evening at 7 PM related to detail rates for the fire department. We'll pause wherever we are in the agenda for that hearing. Good evening.
Good evening. Madam Chairman, I'm going to ask that you keep any remarks.
Could you state your name, please?
Yes, my name is William Bolton,
Thank you.
and so you know it, I'm Naomi's husband. I'm going to ask that any remarks until I'm done talking are squashed.
I'm sorry?
I'm going to ask that any public comments coming out of the crowd until I'm done talking are not allowed.
I will do my best.
It would be good for the person not to, legally. I want you to know, and I hope you understand this, I was arrested in 1976. I was 16 years old. It was a traffic violation in the town of Bedford. And I did go to court and I had a hearing for it. That is the only time I have ever been in court or ever been arrested. Is there anybody at that table that doesn't understand that?
I have no knowledge of your personal situation, so...
I have knowledge of accusations made, and this is what I'm going to go over tonight. Does this board understand the meaning of expunged or annulled? I'm asking you for your own good. Do you know the meaning?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Thank you. Do you know the meaning of criminal defamation?
I will
Vaguely. Vaguely, not technically.
Very good. Now, with what I've just said, I have just stated a fact, and then I've just asked you a question if you understand it. I hope the people in the crowd understand it, because there is very serious consequences for accusations made falsely. We understand this? My name has been mentioned, to my knowledge, 3 times recently in publicly televised town meetings. In those town meetings, I believe it was 2 selectmen and 1 ethics, it has been made mention that I've been arrested, that I've been in different courts for things that happened in this building. In fact, I think it was said that I was actually arrested in this building. It has been said at other meetings that because of this, I'm not qualified to be a board member of a committee in Ware. Everybody familiar with this?
I'm not familiar with that statement.
No, how about it, what was said here at this meeting?
Oh, that somebody in
Yeah.
the meeting said that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good, very good. Last week, I watched the Board of Selectmen. Selectman Pratt changed the draft minutes to verbatim say a bunch of information, very particular information about myself, and then the rest of the board vote to put that in the official minutes. Do you all remember that?
Yes.
Good. It would be the responsibility of an accuser and this board to have factual information before you slander my name. Do we clearly understand that? You've done that. I have paperwork that I won't share with you because I don't need to. It's your duty to be accurate. You've blown it. Big time. I'll share it with the chief of police and he can see that it's authentic or not. But if I ever hear anyone in this room, anyone watching this TV, anyone that has signed a petition recently that I have done something or been accused of, arrested, or charged anything in court, I will have you in court for defamation of character, and I will take it to a very high limit. We clearly understand this? I'm looking right at you.
I hear your comments.
I'm going to request, and I can demand it, that all minutes of this meeting and any other official town meeting that had anything to do with my name mentioned, and I'll just say for the past 12 months, be stricken from those minutes. I'm also going to ask that an apology to myself and my family be given from this entire board for stating such false facts publicly several times. I'm going to strongly recommend that this board start obtaining training on how to conduct a meeting, as well as study the definitions of harassment and slandering, both from yourselves and members of the public. I heard something mentioned last week, heard several things, but one of the keynotes was that, Madam Chairman, you believe strongly in the freedom of speech.
I do.
Good. I totally agree with you. Freedom of speech does not allow slander, does not allow defamation, does not allow employees to be publicly called liars, to be publicly at these meetings threatened. And I suggest strongly that you figure out what I'm talking about and start adhering to these rules. Enough is enough. I've had it. One word, and I'll take legal action, and I will take some serious legal action. I understand that there is a I apologize. You're going to have to help me out here. A group of people of 25 or more that have signed a document looking to make a change in town, or what's the proper definition of that?
Petition warrant.
Petition
article.
warrant, which I totally support. People doing things like that. It shows that they've got enough gumption to stand up for things. But I'm going to caution anyone watching this meeting that if said petition that I have been told, I haven't seen it, but I've been told, if anyone has been told of some felonious court case or arrest, and that person signs, and I'm going to get all the signatures, and if need be, I'll have an attorney speak with these people. If a selectman or spouse or anyone that did this petition did it saying that I wasn't fit for a board, or the board isn't fit because of something I did, those 25 people or anyone that was told that are also going to be liable for defamation. Any questions?
Nope.
I do not legally have to show you anything. I am going to show it to the police chief, and he, excuse me?
I've already seen it.
Thank you. It's fair warning, folks. I'm not here to punch somebody. That isn't anything that ever happened in this building that I know of. But I'm sick of it. My family is sick of it. The townspeople are sick of it. You should be ashamed. I'm going to stay here till the end of public comment. If there's a comment made about something I just said, I will have said person arrested and removed. And that goes from here on out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just to clarify a couple of points. I did see the judge's order. It is a legal order, which is binding. Mr. Bolton, his request to go back 12 months in the record was inaccurate. It actually needs to go back to 2022, I believe, and any reference to any type of public record has to be stricken and removed from the record. We've done that at the police department. Criminal defamation comes into play when there's intent, which means there has to be notice. There wasn't notice prior to this that this existed, the situation existed. There is after tonight. So just make that note going forward. Anybody have any questions of me?
Not at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else for public comment?
Frank Campana. I'll try to be a little bit more brief if possible. I called the fire department, I think it was last Thursday, maybe it was Friday, I'm not sure. I didn't think I had to write down the time that I called them or the day specifically. I thought it was pretty reasonable call. So anyway, I called them. I wanted to speak, I think it was Brittany. I asked to speak to the fire chief. He was not there. This is an effort to speak to a department head, as I have local in this business, in the building, many times spoken to a department head. So it was an effort to speak to the chief. He wasn't there. So the girl asked me if I could, speak to the deputy, the assistant. I said, yeah. I said, for what I needed to ask, I felt he was certainly well qualified. Well, my request of him was, I wanted to know, year-end expenditures, you authorized $21,000 to repair a pump for engine 2. I don't know what engine 2 is. So I asked him for the latest repairs to either one of the engines that had the pump. When was their repair done the last time? Well, kind of bothers me a little bit. Up till today, I still not have received a call. He actually said, he would get back to me. I think he told me to get back to me that day. And as I have spoken many times to a person in this building trying to get information, I says, no hurry. I said, at your convenience. Well, I mean, I guess probably the person's there through the weekend, but in any event, I did not hear back from him, even as of today. So my question was going to be to him, going back to 2021, there was an article on the ballot. It was Article 14. Shall the town raise and appropriate the sum of $20,000 for the purpose of replacing fire apparatus pump components with said funds to come from special fire department equipment, special revenue fund. This warrant article is non-lapsing and will not lapse until replacement is completed on or by December 31st, 2026. The purpose, again, reading from the mailer, is to rebuild a fire water pump in truck in the 2012 HME, which I guess is the brand of the truck, fire truck. So I guess that's what the lapsing fund refers to. When you appropriated year-end surplus this year of $21,000, I don't know what truck that is. But again, I'm making a comment. I don't have the information because nobody got back to me to further, maybe I didn't even need this. So I don't know what truck it is. I guess I don't need the information. It's gone past now anyway. You've already appropriated money. But I'm just wondering, maybe, maybe there's money in the non-lapsing, the non-lapsing fund amount in the revenue. So, maybe it's got double dipped. I don't know. Like I say, I'm speaking tonight with lack of information, but it's not through my fault. I reached out, I tried to get it, I couldn't, but again, it's the money issue, I don't know if that HME truck had been repaired, if that's the one that has to be repaired again. If it got repaired the first time, then it was probably from the lapsing money, or the non-lapsing money, I don't know.
Chief Rourke heard everything that you've said. And I've-
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you know the answer now, you can go ahead and give it to us, but if you not, you can research it and get back to Mr. Campana.
Thank you.
First, I appreciate you reaching out, Frank. If you have that, you can always stop by the firehouse too and just come down. That information we tried to get, Beth was out for the entire week, pretty much. So Friday, we asked her about that information and she was gonna get it to us. So just because the employee was out, I didn't have access to that, to old records. So that's
Okay.
why.
So I'd like to see
To mention,
shortly.
yep, so you can get those figures shortly. She knows about it, so we get those figures for you. As far as the truck, it is the same truck, 2012 HME. That's our frontline pump. And it was repaired. I don't know, what year did you say? 2022?
Well, the article was from 21, I don't know when.
So 21. So the pump was repaired in 21, and it has to be repaired again because of failed pump testing. And talking to the pump testing folks, that pump failed again due to just, we don't have hydrant water around here, as you all know. And so a lot of times we suck out of ponds, we suck out of brooks, we suck out of anything that we get water from, right? That water's not the cleanest water that we have. It's not Poland Spring, we're not pulling out of a tank. So that incurs a lot more wear and tear on the impellers and everything else like that in the pump, because basically you're almost sandblasting everything when you're bringing in that water. Now, with that being said, this time when the pump is being replaced, or not replaced but repaired, the pump people stated that there is a process called spray welding, which I never heard of, but spray welding. And they will take the original piece, they spray weld on a harder material onto that entire piece, and then machine the piece down to what the factory tolerances are, and then they replace that. They said that it costs a little bit more to do it, but the piece would probably withstand the harsh grit of rock, sand, mud, everything else like that we encounter when we are at a fire scene or training or something like that. Specifically pulling out of a non-cistern clean water environment. So it's wear and tear on the pump. We don't have any control over that,
I wasn't
really.
expecting that.
And
I think all he was looking for was the repair history.
yeah, that is
See if the
is.
money that was in 21 was actually used.
Yes, I can assure you that was used because the pump is passed pump testing. After that, it was tested, it passed. In the next couple of years, I think it passed. I know it passed. And then this year when we did the pump testing on it, it did fail.
Okay.
And that's what needs to be done again. But yes, that money was spent.
Okay, but we can get him details on what specific.
And Beth is already aware of that, so she should be able to get that for you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else for public comment?
Eileen Meany, Quaker Street. I was watching last week's meeting and the public comment and wanted to come in and second something that was said, and I didn't realize how timely a conversation it would be. Mr. Butt last week talked a little bit about establishing guidelines, and it was something that I was sitting at home watching the meeting, and I strongly agree with. I think part of what could be done potentially in the future is to work with your ethics committee. The ethics committee was established as an advisory committee, and I think if you had a belief that developing a policy or identifying a way to manage public comment, that would be an area that the ethics committee could be helpful in that way, to do some of the background work, to be able to support a policy that would ensure an ability for individuals to be able to express themselves, but in a manner in which demonstrated respect and civility to others. And so I just wanted to support what Mr. Butt said, so thank you.
Thank you for the suggestion. Anyone else for a public comment? Move to department head committee items. Anything? Okay. I'm going to drop down to opening the IT managed service bids, and at 7 o'clock we'll push back up to the public hearing.
As I explained to Janice, this came this way. I didn't open it. I'm assuming it was an IT bid, but it came unpacked. This is like an AirTag. It's not a thumb drive like I thought it was. So there's 1, 2, 3. That's a suspicious one. There's 2 that I know got delivered. This, as you can see, wouldn't fit anyway.
Bubble wrap.
There is a thing in here.
Okay. I think this is like one of those AirTags that you put on your luggage, so they know where the package went.
What is IT?
Yep. CD.
I don't.
I don't even know what that means, do you?
I think it says land soft
response.
response to Ware Town. Doesn't say anything else. Is it the IT?
That looks like IT.
All right. So for this,
I didn't read the CD because I couldn't really read it, so it's just the response, I guess. Must be what that says on here, I don't know. Probably.
So we do have 3.
yeah. Well, there's more to that package too.
And there's a whole other packet here somewhere.
Oh my God. That's a ream of paper.
Would you like any of these envelopes? Okay.
Those
Like
look
just
like
copies of the
exact
cover
same
or
thing.
something.
And there is a table of contents on there, so it looks like at least. Maybe it'll tell you everything that's in there. Okay.
Cover letter, company information, understanding requirements, technical expertise, qualifications, approach, team structure, references.
All right. So we do have 3 bids. One is from GSC IT. The large package with the additional backup is from Lance Soft. And the third one is from Umbral Technologies. So GSC IT. A lot of detail on services, reliability, email support, IT support, network services, response and escalation intervals. And then it does have a pricing table, 3-year contract, covering town offices, Department of Public Works, Fire Department, Police Department. Goes into detail on the number of firewalls and routers, servers and workstations, a monthly charge, and then an annual charge. The annual charge is $72,864.
Which one was that? I'm sorry.
That was GSC.
Could you repeat the number one more time? 60?
I think it was 72,864. Is that
That sounds right, 72,684,
684?
I believe.
Okay, because we asked for 3 years. Is that the same for every, all 3 years is the same?
Yep. $72,864 per year for 3 years.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
That's okay. This is from Umbral Technologies. It has the cover page on the very front with the pricing. 3 years at an annual cost of $31,800. Lots of detail in here, just like the other one. Introduction, scope of work and approach, experience, personnel, security, insurance, details on personnel, references, information on the device counts, some attachments, breakdown of infrastructure costs and covered services, detailed cover services for workstation, servers, and IT, service level agreements, including response and resolution times, and then pricing and authorities. And it looks like there's 2 copies in here of that. And there is a thumb drive inside them.
Okay.
I believe I said that already. There's that one. And third one is Lance Soft. Lance Soft also submitted the cover page for pricing that was differing pricing for each year. Year 1 is $72,000. Year 2, $75,600. Year 3, $79,380. And that's approximately 1 1/4 inches of backup that goes with this one. So, 2 copies of the same thing on the top, though. Do you want to take a look? Yeah, that's a lot. That's a tremendous amount to go through. Oh, this goes with Umbral, I'm sorry. Okay. So like we've done on the most recent bids that we did, I think for the generator, we'll go ahead and,
Do you want that whole package scanned?
I don't know.
I'm hoping it,
He said no.
I don't know what we want to see in there.
Yeah.
The references we
Yeah,
can leave out.
maybe we can,
I'm hoping it's all in the CD.
yeah. I'm sure it
I
probably is.
think I have a CD reader still.
Yeah.
If
So
not, we can make something work.
Okay. I think we do.
So take some time and digest those and,
So scan them to you guys, and you guys can have them next week?
or the week after. I'm not sure about next week's agenda, but soon.
Yeah, we have to finish so that we can have a complete budget for public hearing.
Okay.
Which is next week.
All
so.
right. Well, then I guess that makes that decision. Okay. That brings us to 7 o'clock. So we have a public hearing scheduled to hear testimony and comment on increasing the fire department detail rates and to take any other action in relationship to hereto. So at this point, I'm going to open the public hearing and ask Chief Rourke to outline what the proposal is. And then after he's done, we'll open it up for any public comment that there might be. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. So if no one's aware, the fire department does almost all, I almost think, of the details that the school requests as far as their games, including football, ice hockey, wrestling, soccer games, basketball games, football games, everything. So with that, the details have been coming more and more and more frequently. And we have not adjusted any of our pay scale. I looked back, and the furthest thing I got was 2017. Right now, because actually the town charges this, the town charges $53 an hour to the SAU or a vendor. If someone wanted to hire the fire department, that's what the town charges the fire department. Also, our ALS ambulance rate is $41.76 an hour, and that's per a FEMA 44 CFR 206.228, and that's the rate that we are charging. We are proposing to line up with what the police department is currently doing, just to make things easy. An outside vendor would be $88.50 an hour, and for the SAU be $80.53 an hour. And our ALS ambulance rate would go up to $48.32 an hour, and that's the new rate as of 7/26/23. That was the last time the federal government updated their rate. And again, that's 44 CFR 206.228. We're not asking for any kind of holiday rate because, if we have to go out on something, we're there 24/7. Someone doesn't need to be called in. So there is no holiday rate for us. But that's what we're asking.
Just so everybody following along, do you have a handout, or can you state the numbers again on which you're proposing to go to?
I can go, just for the public hearing notice, there's the wrong amount on the proposed to the SAU. I typed $83 even instead of $80.53,
Okay.
but I can go make copies. This
Okay.
has-
I could hand out if you want. This is just a copy that I just made of when I sent you guys the
Thank you.
email, but it has the proposed.
Yeah, and you only want them.
Anyone else?
Are we all set?
I'll give you this one too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This sheet I'm handing you here is good to June 30, 2025. And so the reason the squiggly line is there That's service if you were in the fire department, prior to January 1st of 12. There's no one that's been there that long except for me, and I don't get detail pay. So I just scratched that out. Doesn't really belong there. Again, as you could see, the, as the rates are there, again, the total cost, this is saying it's a just looking at this here. That's under SAU. Yeah, this is saying 5205 and it's 53, so it's a couple cents off. On the bottom, you'll see the additional fee for the ambulance is that $41.76 an hour, and again, that has changed as of 7/26/23. The new rate is $48.32 an hour. So basically what we're looking to do is to raise the rates. There'll be more money for the town and also more money for the employee, more money for the town. We're using, the town's equipment as far as the ambulance goes, and we're just trying to bring things into line. Again, I don't think there's really been anything done since 17, so we're a little bit behind the 8 ball on this.
Okay. So to recap, you want to go to outside vendor, $88.50, SAU coverage, $80.53, and ambulance, ALS ambulance rate of $48.32, which is outlined in the CFR,
Correct.
and 0 on a holiday pay rate.
0 on holiday pay or holiday because we're there
There'd be no-
24/7, so there would be no one calling out.
Okay,
We would just go.
all right, great, thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Any questions, comments from the public?
Richard Butt, good evening.
Good evening.
There are two separate issues here, I guess. One is the outside vendor cost, or cost of the SAU, and an increase in rates for ALS service. Question I have is, do all our EMT people have the capability of providing ALS?
No.
So they all have advanced paramedic or advanced training?
Just as I stated, no, they do not. We have one person that's not currently is a BLS employee.
So when we make I guess to clarify in my own mind, when we make an ambulance call, we're always going to have a person there capable of doing ALS?
In regards to a regular emergency call, or is this at the?
No, I mean, well, I don't know what you mean by regular, but a regular emergency call could turn into a advanced life-saving situation. Is that right?
Yep. Can I just speak on that for a second?
Yeah, can you use the microphone? Yeah. Yeah, so these are detail-oriented, I just want to make sure that that was clear. These are not things that we're charging when we get called out on a normal call.
Like at a football game, soccer
Yeah.
game.
Oh, that's the detail aspect. This
Yes.
is a separate piece
Okay.
about
All right.
ALS ambulance rate. I mean, that's a rate that
That
would be
is for a
charged.
detail.
Right, this is just for football games, ice hockey, that we go to the school for. Unless you're, like, the only other outside thing that I think we ever do is like, we do the motocross event in the summertime.
Okay.
So, and they request that we have an ambulance there and that we have 2 ALS providers there.
So is the 8850 to outside vendors includes the 4832 for the ALS?
Nope, that's extra. See, if we go to the high school, just say high school football game, right? We have, someone signs up for that, they go to the detail, they have a radio, a BLS bag to initiate medical care if needed, and there is never a transport ambulance there sitting there, unless the school or the athletic director requests that. And then we will have an ambulance sitting there, and then they would have been charged the current rate, the $41, I think, an hour rate. They would be charged that. Most of the time, it is just the EMT there, and if the person requires any kind of medical transport, they have a radio, and we get dispatched immediately with the ambulance, and then we transport, and that's, I would say, 99.5% of the time, that is at an ALS level, either a advanced EMT or paramedic level.
So the 8850 covers what, that you're charging per hour to a vendor?
The 8850 covers the pay of the employee, and it also covers, that all the retirement system, taxes, anything else that comes out of that. The rest of the money is to the town. Goes to the town. We don't. In other words, the employee is not walking out of there at $88 an hour.
What are they walking out of there with? Their basic pay plus is it double pay or? My concern is, he's indicated he wants to make it like the police department. The police department's detail rate is negotiated, part of the collective bargaining agreement.
Correct.
In addition to that, there's also a standard amount for the vehicle, $20 per hour. The big difference between the fire department and however they provide that service to vendors and or the school, we are taxed for that. You look in the budget, there's a line item for that in the budget for details. We're taxed for that. Supposedly, at some point in time, they get reimbursed and somehow, it equals out. But it's not direct to that line. This is a bit premature. The first thing that should be done to make it accountable is a revolving fund should be set up, similar to what the police department does, that the money from the vendor goes into that fund in addition to 20 additional officers, because I don't see any provisions in here for the vehicle. Maybe there isn't going to be one at the site, I don't know. But that money is collected and dispersed based on a request for that particular individual to get paid for that period of time. The way it happens now is, I'm assuming, that there's a budget line item. So I guess the fire department would request a check for that individual to be paid for those number of hours that they were there on detail. We cut a check, and that comes out of the line item in the budget. So at the end of the year, if they were right, there'd be $0 in the budget. But if they overestimated and $500 came out of that line, whether it was $1,500 in, we don't get that money back directly. So the right way to do it is through a revolving fund. That's how the police department is set up. It's set up a number of years ago, and it works. It's too muddy to me. So the first thing that I would ask you to reject this, because the first thing that needs to be done in my mind is set up a revolving fund for the fire department. And then whatever monies they collect through detail work would be put into this fund. In addition to establishing a dollar amount, I wasn't aware that they just would have an EMT person. At the football games I've gone to, there's been an ambulance there. I don't know. I don't know how that works. But if there's a vehicle involved, there should be some money collected from the vendor that would cover some cost associated with that vehicle. And the police department gets $20 for a cruiser, ambulance, a few extra dollars more. should be considered. I think it's a bit premature. I think it's kind of, I think you gotta put the cart in front of the horse on this one. And the horse in front of the cart, and that horse is the revolving
The
fund.
accounting mechanism. The accounting mechanism.
Yeah, it's clean. Money comes in, money goes out. It's a revolving fund. We keep track of it here. At the end of the year, if there's money left over in that fund, you've seen it. I think it's being used this year to help offset the cost of a cruiser. So I think that's the cleanest way to do it. A question on the ALS ambulance rate. That's strictly for detail work. And to me, it was two separate things. I didn't realize they were related to details.
They are both just related to detail, totally.
But just, if I could ask you just a general question about ALS versus BLS. On most of the calls that we make, do we have people on there that are capable of doing advanced life support?
Yes, every shift of every day, 24/7, 365, it is mandated by me that there's ALS personnel on that ambulance.
Okay.
You will never be, unless they're out, and then, if we have to run a second ambulance, you might get someone who's BLS, but there's a good chance you'll get ALS on that also because of our people being advanced training.
There should be a benefit to the taxpayers for that. Because if you look in my opinion, my humble opinion, there's a line item in the budget for the fire department for intercepts. And generally intercepts are those calls that we make, and we don't have people qualified to do the advanced life-saving. The interceptors, they meet a paramedic at some point in time in the transport to come in and provide assistance. That's what that line stands for, I believe. That's $6,600. If we have people that are capable on every shift to provide that service, that line, in my opinion, should be reduced. There was even a statement made one year that the line came down $600 because we have people that are capable of providing the service. If what I'm hearing tonight is that, I know this is our subject, sorry, but if we have that capability on every shift, and I know somebody could be out, so I don't want to zero out the line, but boy, I would think
Yeah,
you
well,
could
they
cut
could be
it.
out on a call, or they, I
Exactly.
think that's what he
So-
means by out, just for anybody
So,
listening
I
at
mean,
home.
cut it in half. I'm just throwing that number out there. But in my opinion, it should be looked at. That 6,600 is just, it's there every year. So, thanks.
Thank you.
Each of those calls that we go on is roughly $500 to $600 per run. When I say ALS, if someone is requesting a paramedic intercept, is because we don't have a paramedic. We're still offering ALS coverage. They still can give different kinds of drugs and cardiac drugs, start IVs, give fluid. They're more advanced than a basic EMT. If they're calling for a paramedic, it's most of the time for some type of pain control that requires narcotics. We just got Lieutenant Amanda Charest, just passed her paramedic, and she's working today as a paramedic. But that line is there, and for those calls that we do, and it doesn't take that long over a course of a year, that at $500-600 a time, that line will get chewed up pretty quick. That's why we left it there.
It's never got close.
I'm going to stop topic on the intercept at this point because it is off topic to the public hearing, but I appreciate the inputs. And I'll ask if anyone else has public comment regarding the discussion related to detail rate pay.
Frank Campana. Well, needless to say, this is confusing to me. I'm not saying it's not accurate, but it's confusing to me. The current pay, I was trying to back there, I was trying to figure out percentage increases, and I don't even know what numbers to use, quite honestly. I look at, I understand under current pay, the town charges vendor SAU $53. ALS rate is, I guess, currently $41, use round numbers. But then, I don't know what per 44 CFR, I guess that's a rate that they're going by, that's what they want to raise it to, I have no idea.
It's a regulation.
Pardon me?
It's a regulation.
But it's a so it's not a dollar amount?
It's a dollar amount that's stated
Oh.
in the regulation.
Oh, okay. Okay, so it is a dollar amount. So how do I find, what numbers do I use to find out what the, well, look down at proposed outside vendor,
That's going from $53
from 53,
to
okay.
$88.50 is the proposal.
Okay, so that's what I thought.
And SAU is also going from 53 to
And that-
$80.53.
Okay, I get that, I get that.
Okay.
So, well, without going back there and coming up again, figure out the percentage increase. And then the ALS ambulance is $48. And again, you see it's 44 CFR at $206.
No, that's
No, that's
the
the-
regulation number.
That's the regulation code.
Oh, so my,
So
okay,
it's
so,
going from 41.76 to
Okay.
48.32.
okay, so the my
Yeah, that's just the
original
regulation number.
is a regulation number, not a dollar amount.
No, it's not.
Okay,
Just if you went home and looked on your computer and keyed in 44 CFR 206.228, you're gonna come up with the new federal rate as of 7/26 of 23 for an ALS ambulance being $48.32 an hour. We're currently charging only $41.76 an hour, which is the
Okay.
rate since around 2017.
so we're at $41, right? I don't care about the,
Correct.
after that.
Yep, currently 41.76 as of today.
Okay. I think the first one I have. Well, the public hearing will be over by the time I get the percentages, but it would be nice to, for any other public hearings, like, police, just here, where rates are increased. I think of, the Parks and Rec. It would be nice to have, okay, the rate's going from this to this, and this is the percentage. So, certainly it helps somebody like me, question, oh, that's not too bad, 1%, or if it's 30%, why is it 30%? So that would be a suggestion for future rate increases.
The reason why that I asked for the rate increase basically is because the town is losing out on money. Your ambulance that you bought, that the town bought, every time that ambulance goes out, if it's to the school or if it's to a private event or a private vendor, you're basically, you could tell me that you could give that ambulance for free, but you're paying for it as a taxpayer. I'm trying to raise the rate. This is a federal rate. This isn't just a number out of the sky. It's a federal rate that FEMA charges for an ambulance. And it's just basically more money going to the town and back into the general fund for the use of your ambulance at a private event.
Okay, well, that wasn't my question. I understand that. I understand police department, as the previous speaker said, the way the police detail is laid out, revolving fund, it's really pretty, even for me to say, it's really pretty simple to understand. I would think that, if he wants to mimic police detail rates or somewhere near that maybe the system should be in place also to have that a little bit better explained. So,
Sure, thank you.
thanks.
Anyone else for public comment? Do you have a go back?
Richard, but that rate increase is a 67% increase. And as was said by the chief, appears that most of their work is done with the school. I'm sure the school is going to make an adjustment in their budget. Is the SAU aware of this?
The SAU is not aware of this because, the SAU is not aware of this unless they heard about it. I did not contact them because we're still in discussion here about it.
They should have been made aware of it, because while it's being said that it's money coming back to the town, I'm sure the SAU is going to make an adjustment if you go ahead with it, and make an adjustment in their budget, and guess who contributes to their budget? So it's taxpayers will be funding the increase for the SAU. So I don't see how we're benefiting at all from that. Again, if it's set up as a separate special revenue fund, I firmly believe it should, and you'd be able to track it a little bit better and see what the rates are year to year. It doesn't affect the taxpayers. The SAU, if that's all the work does, it will affect us in the long run because they're going to have to adjust their budget to pay for that. And it sounds like the number of times we're putting people there is more than just at a football game. It seems exorbitant to me that we're paying that rate just to have a person there. So I don't see that, I don't see the difference, and I don't know why there would be a difference. The difference doesn't benefit us. The SAU is going to provide the funds to cover that total cost. The difference between the pay that person's getting and what's coming back to the town, it's taxpayer money. We're not benefiting. That's the way I look at it, so, thanks.
I could tell you that in recent questioning, if we did not supply the coverage for the school, they would be forced to go to a private service. And the private service, they're charging anywhere from $130 to $140 an hour, or 160, I'm sorry, $130 to $160 an hour. So that would be charged to the school versus the $80.53.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else for a public comment?
Again, under the current pay, you want to go from $41 to $53?
$48.32.
Pardon me?
$48.32.
$48.32.
You say pay.
Okay,
Yeah, and it's technically, it's not pay, it's a detail rate.
right.
Okay,
But that's the hourly rate for a person.
for the detail, part of which is labor.
So we don't know what the person's getting paid then, right?
Depends upon the person that
For
goes.
many of this.
They have a set salary with the town.
Okay, well, maybe a couple of examples, maybe the highest end person salary
So,
or the lowest and, lowest, I mean.
so there's, when you're talking detail rate, there's nothing to do with seniority or where you are. You could be on the department 1 year and get the same detail rate as person who's been there for 5 years. Current detail rate right now, the employee receives $37 an hour.
Thank you for correcting.
Okay, yeah, thank you too. That $37 an hour, how does that compare to, let's say that's that same person as a fireman or in the firehouse? What's their?
Great question, Frank. Well, that's some of our problem because this hasn't, again, moved since around 2017. So now people are actually making more money working overtime than they will on a detail. And I'm having a really hard problem with, in the summertime, on Saturday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, for someone to give up 2 hours of their family time and life for $37 an hour. Not many people want to do that. So
Okay.
we're asking to, again, go from 2017 rates up to something that's more comparable with today's rates.
Okay.
And also that would give a little bit more to the employee to maybe entice people to take these details. And again, as I stated before, the amount of money that for a private ambulance service is almost double than what we're asking for here.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Okay. At 7:31, I'll close the public comment portion. And I have a few questions myself. I'm sure other people do as well. So how much of the rate actually goes to support the equipment, meaning the ambulance or the fire truck?
Again, right now, the 40, if they request an ambulance, as of today, it's $41.76 an hour, 76 cents an hour. So that money is what basically the town is charging the vendor or the SAU, if the SAU requests an ambulance, which most of the time they do not request an ambulance. They just request one person to be there, an EMT to be there.
Okay, so if an EMT goes out, they're not taking an ambulance or a fire truck?
That is correct.
Okay.
Most of the time, they'll take the utility or forestry or something like that.
So they are taking town
They're
equipment?
taking a vehicle, but it's not a transport, it's not an ambulance or anything else like that.
Okay. So,
It's just a way of them getting down there because they're on duty technically.
Right.
And I don't want them taking their own private vehicle.
so technically, theoretically, excuse me, if we move to the proposal of, just use the SAU, $80.53, of that, 37 per hour will go to the employee. The balance comes back and right now is going into the general fund, or is it going into a revolving fund?
General fund.
Okay, Beth says
And-
general
and the
fund, if you
current
didn't
is-
hear that.
Yes, the current rate now is 37 an hour.
Okay,
And it goes into the general fund, yes.
all right. All right. What do you guys have?
Well, I mean, I don't have a problem with moving up to the federal rates, I guess. You know, Mr. Butt made a good point, it'd be nice to, if it was in a revolving fund, but I guess we don't have that mechanism set up right now, so I don't know, you know, if we really wanna not come up with the, you know, to the federal rate because of that tonight, but I certainly think maybe that's what we ought to look to do. Because it does fund itself. Right now, I kind of agree, at least with the SAU. The private vendor's a little different, I guess, but the SAU are just kind of taking from one hand, putting the other anyway.
Well,
You are raising the
you
tax
know,
rate.
they are
raising the-
requesting the service. So
Correct.
keep that in mind. It's not like we're pushing a service on them. They're requesting it, and they control how often they request that.
Right.
We don't.
Right.
So I don't, just thinking out loud, I don't see any reason why we wouldn't want to make sure that this bucket stayed whole, and they can control what they can control, and we can control what we can control. I understand it's both coming out of pockets, but,
Yeah, you're just
Not
raising,
one
Yeah.
pocket into the.
you're raising the tax line on their bucket. However, then if nobody wanted to do the detail because the rate wasn't enough and they had to hire
they would have to
private,
go
then-
to the $130 one.
which we would pay for too. so.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
So if you go to a revolving fund and we raise the rates, the excess money doesn't go back to general fund anymore, it would go into the detail fund that we would fund outside of detail pay. I'm sure we'd be funding something else as well with that.
I just don't know what you would be funding, what the revolving account would be useful for. I mean, the money's coming back into the general fund now. I
Right,
guess it would just be,
which it, you know,
Will be how it reset
bypasses,
out, I
but
guess.
could make its way back to the taxpayer. In the
doesn't
general
it do
fund at the
that
end of
going
the
through
year.
the general fund?
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't see where the revolving account, I mean, that's up to you guys. I don't see, I don't know if I see any benefit in that. I don't know,
Well, you
maybe
could
I'm-
use it-
Maybe I'm missing something.
You could use it to offset vehicles or equipment if we agreed to.
So, yeah, because they put $20 an hour for the vehicle, the police do, in their fund. So that residual stays, which is, I think you've heard Chief Moore talk about
The detail fund.
taking the detail,
Okay.
and so much for a car, so
All right.
you could theoretically do the same.
Chief, just a quick question.
Absolutely.
The current pay to the employee would be $37 an hour for the detail.
That is correct.
Is there a proposed change to increase
Yes, there
that?
is.
I'm sorry, I didn't
The proposed rate for the employee for the new rate
For the employee.
for the employee for the new rate,
Yeah, it's right there.
the 53?
No. No. 37. It's on the.
Oh, that's current. You said current.
Yeah.
Okay, the new. The new rate for the employee would be $52.05 an hour.
And 57.25 for a vendor. Is that correct? 57.25.
Yes,
for a
if that,
vendor.
yeah, I don't have a calculator, but if you take the 88.50 and, for the, yes, 57.25, that is correct, that's what's on the sheet here.
Thank you.
Per hour, yes, outside vendor.
I think I just needed to have that pointed out for me.
Sorry.
No worries.
And that does get paid out of that amount before the rest goes in general fund, right? That part almost acts like revolving, right? So that, if we charge 87.77, that 57.25 gets paid out of that 87.77. It doesn't all go into the general fund and then come out of the budget.
There is a line in his budget for detail wages.
Okay,
So when a firefighter works a detail, the wages come out of his operating budget.
right.
And then after I invoice them, get the money back, then you see on the revenue side, the offset.
Could you come up, Bill? I don't think anybody at home heard that.
So currently in the fire department operating budget, there is a wage line for fire detail wages. So when an fire officer works a detail, his wages come out of the operating budget, and then I invoice the vendor, and all of the revenue that comes in, you see on the revenue as detail revenue. So we are paying currently an expense, and then we're getting the revenue to offset it.
And it directly offsets that line, or it goes in, just
Just goes into
offsets
the-
as,
yeah.
right,
Offsets the operating budget in its entirety.
right, that's what it is. So I guess to me, for tonight's purpose, I'm in favor of doing this, but I do think we might ought to, that's where that
Well,
general,
yeah,
that's where that
if you-
revolving fund
If you'll
would
stay
help.
up here, I want to ask you about the revolving fund. What is the benefit of having a revolving fund? And would you recommend we set one up for this specific scenario?
I wouldn't the fire department doesn't have that many details that I would worry about a revolving fund. He does say that there's going to be a lot more, going forward. In the last, let's say, 5 years, there's probably been 6 or 7 a year. So it's really not that much, but, if he's accurate in stating that all games have to have at least a basic present, then we're looking at what, maybe 40?
Yeah, I believe Captain Who just got a request about 3 weeks ago or so from the SAU for another 16 games that we have to cover, or they would like us to cover on top of the other games that we already have. I would say we're on track to probably do roughly 35 details this year.
So
In
if
that
it-
ballpark.
So it got set up as a revolving fund. I think I understand when we're talking out loud, so
Yep.
you can correct me. Got set up as a revolving fund, that set amount from vendor would go in there, and then the employees' pay would basically get written out of that account. right?
Correct, correct. So for the purpose of the public hearing tonight, this is just about the rate.
Right.
If you want to put a warrant article on to establish a revolving fund for fire details, you're welcome to do that come March. I would make a recommendation that we don't have the ambulance revenue go in there, like we have the cruiser revenue going into the police detail. Fire department has a special revenue fund for vehicle and equipment. So if we only put the wages in the revolving fund, and then when I invoice the vendor, will be reimbursed from the revolving fund for the wages. Any revenue that comes in for the ambulance, that would go into the general fund to offset the operating expense of using the ambulance. That would be my recommendation.
And is there any setup that's required other than the warrant article? Is there any funding that needs to be put into that
No.
article? Or
No, It's just
anything
the
like that?
establishment of the revolving fund for the purpose.
Okay. Any other questions for Beth while she's up here?
No.
Don't want to give her more steps.
My steps in.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Beth.
Someone's gotta be the paramedic.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
All right. So what we're talking about is a change to vendor and SAU and the ambulance rate. SAU $80.53, outside vendor $88.50, and an ambulance rate of $48.32, with the corresponding change in employee pay for outside vendor to $57.25, and for town school or SAU to $52.05. So would anyone like to make a motion to make those increases?
Did you mention the overall increase, or just do the per hour?
I just did the per hour.
We need to do the overall, don't we? No?
I think, if I'm not mistaken, she gave these numbers, and she said of which.
Of which,
Oh, I'm
yeah.
sorry.
We're gonna increase.
I'm sorry, I was
Yeah,
trying to
that-
read and
I don't think
listen.
I said of which, but that would be part of it, yes.
Alright.
That would be the... That wasn't for us, was it? No. Okay. All right.
I wouldn't be here.
No, I thought I heard you clear your throat or something.
Oh, no.
Okay, sorry.
I'll keep
I
it
was, no, I just wanted to make sure that you weren't trying to get my attention for some reason.
I'll move that.
Moved by Selectman Pratt. Anyone like to second?
Second?
Seconded by Selectman Drury. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor, say yes or yay.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? Motion passes 4-0-0. And I'll just further comment that we will take up the subject of revolving fund at some point. If not tonight, it would be for the following year.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will close the public hearing completely at 7:45 PM. I think that takes us, if I'm not mistaken, to the fire station generator bids for South Station.
Did you all get a chance to look over what I sent you?
I did.
As I wanted, but yes.
The
Does this help
APRO,
you?
just your APRO, KPRO are the ones that did the building here, just,
Okay.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I said the APRO, KPRO are the ones that did the generator that's here. That was a year or two ago. They provided the one that's in this building.
All the quotes as far as the equipment, other than the differences in, a few had a different brand, and one had a 13 kilowatt, another one had a 20 and a 22, or 20 and a 24. All of the accessories looked equal to me, except for some were quoting a 200 amp transfer switch, and some are quoting a 100 amp transfer switch. I did notice that difference, but everything else seemed to be
Yeah, we
fairly
asked-
comparable.
Yeah, we asked for 100.
Right,
Yep.
yes,
And we had also put surge protection and wireless as optional.
right.
And we had 3 that included that.
Which 3 were those?
We had SCI, Oak Ridge, and the 22 from Bohan.
Yeah, you can write on that if you want, Benji.
No, that's okay. It's kinda crazy to me how the 22 KW Generac for Bohan is tied with the cheapest and everything else is 14. I think we stated that nobody felt that we needed one that big, nor did we specify that, but get more for the same money, it kinda caught my eye, I guess.
If the size is appropriate at 14, then it's not gonna get us anything other than perhaps future addition. So I guess the question is, are we trying to run the entire building, or are there just specific electrical circuits that need to keep up and running when we're on generator?
Well, and I agree, but I guess just dollar-wise, just talking out loud, is it's the same money as the cheapest 14 KW. If we're talking like $5,000 different, then I could see the argument, well, do we really need that tonight? But it's the same money, so I don't.
When I had talked to the gentleman, again, I'm not an electrician, he said that the 22 would run the entire building versus the 14 running just a number of specific circuits in the building.
Yeah, I think that both of them would though, right? The 20 and the 22?
I heard from the people who came, they looked at it, and right now I think there's 6 circuits that the current generator was running. My own feeling is that the 14 would handle the building the way it is now, but if there's a 14 and a 22, I don't know. I would assume the lifespan of a generator is probably 15, 20 years, and I don't know where that building's gonna be in 15, 20 years, or what the, if the price is the same for both of them.
Well, if we're going price, A-Pro, K-Pro, and they've done the work here, they're the cheapest. They do not include surge, or they didn't mention surge protector or wireless monitoring. If they're gonna go for size and cost, Bohan's definitely 22 at $12,000, which is what we allocated. And
What
that-
model
that
generator
includes
did they
everything
have?
we asked for.
They had,
Bohan, Kohler?
the $12,000 one was a Generac like everybody else. The 14,000
Yeah, the
or
20.
whatever was a 20 Kohler.
Kohler, okay.
But they had a Generac 22 KW for the 12,000. I'm always for, building for the future, if you put more things in there, if it gets tore down and it's big enough to run a different department.
I don't know what'll be there in 10 years, or 15 years either, so.
So do we go frugal and get the job done? A little bit more and get more for the money.
So what was A-Pros, K-Pros one
They were 85-22
for the 14?
for 14, yep,
Generac.
and a 200 amp switch.
Beth, we purchase ordered that out of year-end money, right?
Two prices, I thought it was that and that went together, no?
No, there was
So you
two,
purchased it out of
combined them.
year-end money too, so just,
Generator
you don't
cost
spend it all,
itself
it
was
goes
that.
back.
Then there was the pad, then there was the electrical work from April,
So everything together, they were 85-22?
yes.
I guess I missed, I thought there was two prices added together that was more than that, so.
There were, one was for the electrical setup, I believe.
yeah, there's brothers, one supplies
Right,
equipment,
but
one
that still
does
figures into the
electrical.
85?
Yes,
And one was
Okay,
61,
yeah.
and
All right.
one was 24.
There's,
yeah.
All right,
It was 6192 and 2330.
all right,
and this was the equipment.
yep, yep, I stand corrected, I was thinking that,
That's the equipment.
yep, I was thinking that.
You're right, if the lowest was 12,
And that's what
Yeah.
when I first looked, that's what I thought, that's where I went 22, so now I stand corrected, I suppose if they had everything that the size and everything we wanted, and that is some cheaper,
Yeah,
$3,600. 30
34.
hour.
I would think the 14, I mean, I don't know everything that's running over there right now. If there's only 6 to 10 circuits that are absolutely critical, I would like to think the 14 would handle that. Because I know that would just about handle my entire household if I ran all of my appliances simultaneously. So,
Yeah, the biggest thing that we have there is, we do have naturally the well pump for the domestic water, but we also have, another well pump that is larger horsepower, and that can run for a duration of an hour to an hour and 15 minutes, because that's what we currently use to fill the trucks. So that pump is running continuously. It's not like a duty cycle where it runs for a minute or two and then shuts off, and it's off for, a couple hours, however many times you use the
Like a normal
sink
well
or
pump.
something.
That would have all worked with what we had there.
Excuse me?
That would have all worked with what we had there
That,
prior.
the pumps, the only thing that was on the, I believe that was on the old generator possibly was the domestic water. I'm not even sure that pump was on there,
Good.
to be
So-
honest with you.
so
I
if
think
the-
it was the heat in the garage doors on the old generator.
So if the
because it wasn't that
14
big.
isn't, I agree, I almost think it'd run the whole building anyway, but if it isn't necessarily rated for the whole building, how did did you tell them what you wanted to run off of it in emergency, or how did they come up with the size on it?
I told them that I wanted the building run off the generator, the entire building run off the generator.
Okay,
And everyone went with the 14.
Okay.
The one gentleman went with 13 because the generator that he uses is not Generac, and he uses a different brand, Generac or something. His brand Briggs and Stratton did not offer 14K. And there was only that one gentleman who came and said, when I said, 14K is a spec, he looked at the panel and said that there's no way you could run everything off there. Now, keep in mind, there is, and I did tell him that we do have, like, electric heat. I don't think it's been on in 15 years, nor do I ever think it'll probably go on. So, we certainly don't need the electric heat plumbed into that, so. But he was advised of that and told that.
Okay.
But he did recommend that there be the bigger generator. And again, I don't know really too much about it.
yeah, no, it's just a question, how many devices are you gonna run at the same time? If you're running your 2 pumps, and that's it, you're probably, your the old one probably handled that just fine, but once you start tacking on more things, you know, you'd have to sit down and look at what the whole electrical, you know, demand is for everything that you be running.
Yeah, I can say that every electrician who did come there did take a look and, at the amperage and amp draw from both of those pumps.
I guess that was my question, was what was specified, what we wanted to run. You said the whole building, so that answers my question.
Okay. All right.
Because I do know when generator, people want to sell you a generator, they will take, when we built the highway garage, they wanted to know the amperage of every machine I had in case I arced the welder and the air compressor and the well pumps all simultaneously. Come up to like 100 kW, obviously that's not realistic, but I would think 14 would more than open the doors and turn your pumps on, so.
Worst thing that's gonna happen is we'll trip the circuit breaker on the generator, saying, oh, you're pulling too much.
Right.
Okay.
So A-Pro, K-Pro?
Yep.
That's what I'm thinking.
All right.
Agreed.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to award the South Station Fire Generator to K-Pro, A-Pro, estimate number 112, for a total of $8,522,
With the money coming from
with the money coming from end-of-year funds? Is that
the
the,
encumbered end-of-year 2024 funds, yeah.
Thank you. The money coming from the encumbered, money from end-of-year funds.
Anyone like to second that?
I'll second.
Do we need to split it up because it did come in as two separate quotes?
It came in as one estimate, and the A-Pro was an invoice. Oh, wait. I don't see a number on there. It says invoice for fire department.
Yeah. Sure they can work through with their brothers. Maybe. Shouldn't say
You
that.
have a good point, though.
As long as they're friendly, it's fine.
Well, if we have the mounts, I guess you could just say,
That was the equipment for the Generac.
Want me to break it
and
down?
the-
yeah,
And the
just
electric
to have it
case.
handy.
With the, I'd like to amend that, the A-Pro electrical work at $2,330. And the K-Pro generator install at $6,192.
I'll second that again.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say yes or yea.
Yes.
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 Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? Motion passes 4-0-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So on the budget, I believe Beth had a updated printout, which will have today's date in the corner. Do you
Okay.
guys want that?
Yes, please.
Knowing that we still have cleaning and IT to put in there, but she's highlighted it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know how far you want to go into it, because we still have blanks. That's all I was asking.
And just those two are the blanks that you're referring to? IT and,
Yeah, the ones that are highlighted, I just, we talked about last time patriotic purposes, I was trying to find it. Which is on page 11 of 12, it starts at line 608. we had talked about removing it, but your default number still stays at 500, so your proposed is 0. So if you get proposed, it's 0 and it moves on. But the default, because it's last year, is, or several years ago, it stays at 500. So just do
Understood.
that.
Yeah,
Yep.
makes sense.
Yeah, and then the other thing we talked about today, Beth and I did, was, Selectman Pratt was at the meeting, and the minutes were put out today with regards to conservation. Gotta find that one. And it's my understanding, and Selectman Pratt can correct me, was everything was going to $1, was that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, I think we made that move.
Last page.
Sorry, last
Thank you.
page, of course. So, their total is line 621, which is on 12 of 12, so their total default is 853, proposes $8, because we put all the lines at $1.
Okay.
So those are the changes I believe we made.
Yeah, there's one additional change.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
believe you got an email from the town clerk last week regarding the software for the accessibility tablet.
Oh.
So under elections, line 28, so we reduced that to the $600 programming. I believe
That was per the email.
per the email that you received from the town clerk.
Line 28, the
Line
printing
20,
is what it says there.
yeah.
Okay.
So those are the changes that Beth and I discussed today. Again, still leaving IT and cleaning services. Cleaning services does affect police, DPW, town office building, and then you've got the IT bid. So, you know, Beth has highlighted the ones we're waiting on to award. So that's where you are at the end, and if you flip it over at this point, 2.6. I will tell you, we've got a couple more people interested in the cleaning.
Oh, good.
I took
That's
someone
good.
out last week, someone's coming Wednesday to look at the buildings, and then the vendor that we currently have now is aware of it, not the first time, but second time, and she's gonna put in a bid, so you should have 3 bids anyway.
Very good.
It's better than the one that you had for before. And he may rebid, I haven't heard from him. I did encourage him to come look at the building so that they knew what they were up to. So, as I said, I don't know what you wanna do.
Yeah, I just want to address Mr. Butt's comment from earlier about the intercept line. That is $6,600 in the default and has been, it looks like for at least 2024 as well. But this year, the proposed budget is $3,000. So that has been addressed earlier in our discussions.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for Beth or Naomi?
With them dropping everything to $1 at the Conservation Commission, there was just one question. What if they have something that can't be paid out of their revolving fund or out of their conservation fund?
That's why we leave $1 in the account and
So we'll have a
don't
line
close
too.
it. Yeah, you can overspend it.
Okay, thank you.
So I think this is as close to final as we can get tonight. How is that going to impact our discussion next week? with the
Well, it
public
could make
hearing?
changes for what you hear from the public as well.
Right, but as far as presenting,
I guess my thought was, and I didn't talk to Beth, my thought was you'd present with your highlights explaining that we had bids.
okay.
And people, I'm not sure how you want to do it, but they'll comment on each one. The only thing you're not gonna also, which will tie to the next one, is there's some answers you wanted on your warrant articles, and Jason is sick, so he is not here tonight. So I think we talked about one of the warrant articles that could affect this as well, and hopefully is better for next week, but is the mowing tractor, because you talked about
The
if
10.
one's available very soon,
Right.
you might be able to put something in and change that as well. But I think we have to just tie it all together as we can.
Okay.
And you and I can talk about how we look at that when we meet on Thursday for the public hearing.
Okay. All right.
So with that, do we put because these are the costs or the pricing from last year, right, for the cleaning? Do we put the higher price in there with the anticipation of it coming down?
The higher price for?
The one that
Or
we
the cleaning?
received before.
The quote that we got, or the bid that we got last week? Or the week before?
Where you put it back out to bid, I don't know that I can put that number in.
Right. That's what I was thinking.
I will tell you that.
And we've asked for them back by next week, so.
Yes, they're due in by Monday morning. So, and then on the IT one, I just saw your current vendor kept its price constant. So
That's
the
good.
31.8 is what was bid on, the others were in the 70s. But again, you guys will look at that. So that just,
Yeah, if we weren't going to have more information on Monday, I'd say we probably need to make some kind of adjustment, because we can do that based on our feel. We don't have to have a quote for that. But I do think before we actually send this to the printer and sign our names at the bottom, we'll have better information.
yeah, you also, at deliberative session, there could be some amendments made, so we won't be quite at the printer yet.
No, but we have to, get it out to people.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what I mean
absolutely.
by,
And that's why I had suggested just leaving the highlighted amounts, just knowing that we will have bids. You do have a bid to look at,
yeah.
bids, I'm sorry, and then see where our custodial lines are.
Okay. I'm not sure if this is where you want to talk about Beth's request to ask legal a question related to the calculation on the default.
You also, Beth had supplied an email, we talked about it this morning, and she has received a inquiry from a finance committee member, questioning a line or two of how we calculated the default, versus me going through Beth. If finance could directly just ask Attorney Whitley just a question about default. Because he has reached out asking if we're ready to have him look at the warrant articles, and I said not yet. So that's all she was asking. It would be a very quick phone call on an email. It wouldn't be much.
Yep.
Because I think we know the answer, but just to be on safe ground.
Yeah, I agree. Anybody opposed?
That's all right with you guys?
Do you need a motion for that?
No,
Just
as long as you
consensus?
can, they just said you could reach out. Thank you for that.
Thank you for making sure it's right. We appreciate that.
So if you want to, I do have a better draft of your warrant articles if you want to
Sure.
do that next, because we're kind of, I think we are where we are at the moment until we fill in the blanks.
Yep, I agree. Everybody ready to move on?
All right, so I provided, I think, did I put it in front of you? All right. So what you're gonna see, is a little bit more fine-tuned, but again, keep in mind, these will have to go to, after you have your public hearing and get your input, you'll make your final changes if you want to make your final changes. And then we still need to run it to legal, and we still need to run it to DRA. DRA has to approve what we're doing, or else it's not gonna work well. So I'll just walk you through. The first page is the same, gives you time of first session, second section. Article 1 is to the election. Maureen will fill that in. Last week, when Chief Rorick was here and talked about financing the fire engine, due to the amount of the finance, you have to have a public hearing that's over $100,000. Therefore, I quickly posted a meeting. It did get out. I actually put it in the newspaper just for safeguarding, and it ran Friday, so it made its deadline. Kind of a little, again, probably have somebody better looking at it than I did, but it was to raise and appropriate 2.5 with $1 million being a down payment coming from the Fire Department Rescue and Special Revenue Fund, and then authorize the board to enter a 3-year finance agreement for $250,000 with payments to be expended annual from the equipment fund, which is what we did in 2015 when we bought the ambulance, because that's what we found the wording. It's a little quirky, because at that one, we did a 5-year agreement, we didn't put anything down, but this, we're trying to put it down, so again, it still has to run its gamut with the attorney and everything else.
Okay.
Okay? Article 3, I'm waiting, because I don't want to miss and put in a wrong number, so I'm waiting on putting the actual numbers in.
Thank you. I'm laughing only because I could see myself doing that.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Well,
there's a number in there, I'm
I'm
good.
not offended for you laughing.
No, I wasn't
Article
laughing at
4,
you.
Article 4 is the raise one that you saw last week. I don't know how you want to word it. I know you had some brief discussion from Benji at the end of the meeting last week. I don't know how you want to do it.
Yeah, we're gonna have to circle back to that one.
Okay, well, we'll just continue. So then the Park and Rec Director, James, thank you, gave me the right numbers. Beth obviously went over them with me. And so the first number you're seeing, the 1615, is 9 months. The total for the whole year would be 2153. And then there was I think a park member that asked that we let people know that it was currently 5 going to 7. So the pay part of it is $2,000, but the $153 is the taxes and stuff associated with it, and it's a stipend.
And there's just a question, do we need to spell out that it's, that the first, the 1615 is for 9 months?
Okay, yeah, we could probably make a sentence there, because as we've always heard from the crowd, it's easier when you, because all you're gonna see is that question. But if you can add another sentence about 9 months and then an annual number, we can certainly do that. And then you heard last week, I'm just gonna move on unless you tell me not to, the detective, Chief Moore sent you back that information from last week. What we did again, though, is because the 9-month, 12-month issue is there, and he didn't stay, and I will talk with him about it, is I gotta change, I see my dollar amounts, I changed the numbers, but I didn't change my written words. See, that's the type of thing. 5171 is 9 months, and 6720 is 12 months, but we can spell that out as well. And some of them, I'm just gonna ask you to look at closely with the tax impact, because some of the small articles ends up being 0, but if you carry it out to a third digit, it's .004. But if I carry everything out, a quick glance may bring in something at, somebody may look at it thinking it's 91 cents or something. That's why I didn't wanna carry it completely out. Jason, we were gonna talk about, and I don't know, Beth, did you have the number that we had last year? So to go from 50 cent to 100%, I know we said it was 32-ish last year? 32,000. 32,000? Yeah, that's what I believe Jason had said.
For his revenue or his half of the revenue?
His half a revenue.
Okay.
His half, yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it
Yeah.
that way.
Right.
So,
And this one we'll have to circle back to
we're
too,
gonna
'cause
circle back
we
to
had,
that,
we
yeah.
had discussion related
Of
to
85.
75 or 80%,
yep.
or 85.
correct, that's a circle back. Article 8 talks about career development, officer wellness, you guys talked about that. Now, that is an annual, right, Beth? It's not 9 months, 12 months, it's just an annual fee for someone to do the Heart Start and the wellness checks. A little bit different than what you're used to. Channel 9. Article 9 is the 10-wheeler dump truck, you saw that last week, I don't think we made any mention there. Article 10 is the correct amount, what you're looking at with
Yeah,
what
What I
Chief Moore?
don't see is there's offset on this one, isn't there? Or is this a full price?
On the 10-wheeler?
Yeah.
No, there was no
Okay,
offset.
never
No.
mind then, sorry.
The, Article 10 is the police cruiser, that's the updated amount that we talked about with Chief Moore yesterday, and it was the new email that he had sent right after the meeting. Article 11, Assistant Fire Chief Anderson is the one that gave you the wording for that, which is the exact same wording that we used when we established the Parks and Rec revolving fund,
Okay.
when it passed that year. Road reconstruction, that's the same article that you've seen, other than the increase of 650, anticipated 284 with a tax impact of 366. Article 12 is two Lucas CPR devices, and you're gonna take the 45,000 from the fire department replacement vehicle and equipment special revenue fund with a tax impact of 0. The one you're gonna wanna circle back on too is 14. We talked about, again, availability of the mower. If it was readily available, if it passed, there was talk about maybe removing some of the mowing money in the budget. So we have to get that information from Jason. Article 15 is police tasers. Police tasers is, again, is the number that Chris gave you, and it's .008 for that. I'm gonna move on to the carport, same thing, you talked about it with him last week. So it's the new, or the wording that we're gonna use. Transfer station scales, another one we'll circle back to Jason on, because we talked about maybe having a hearing as far as, I think upgrading the fees to kind of put towards it, so we'll have to come back to that one when Jason's here. Body worn cameras is 18, that one there. Again, Chief Moore, you already looked at it last week, that's .006, not 6 cents. Article 19, Cypre money, Janice shared with us the result of what they talked about Friday night at the Cemetery Advisory Subcommittee. And the number, if I'm not mistaken, Janice, was $32,000.
That's with the recommendation, yes.
Okay, that was the recommendation from them, so that is in there.
Yeah, so we haven't talked about it, whether these gentlemen want to accept that or not, so I'm going to mark that one as open.
Okay. And then 20 is the Conservation Commission Forester, and again, Selectman Pratt, I believe, verified that with them, and 25 was yes. Correct? 21, we had received one petition, and that's for fireworks for $11,000. Of the 11, they're asking that it come from the undesignated fund balance. I did not finish numbering because the petition window is open until tomorrow afternoon, so I just figured not changing another number.
Yep.
Because it would be 22, 23, 24. So that's where I am. I don't know if you have any questions, you want to talk about things. It's a lot better tightened up than it was the last time you looked at it.
One thing we probably need to talk about at some point is the order in which we want these to appear, so we might want to move them around.
I sprinkled them along the way for the mere fact that we always let somebody get it up front and then go home first. Oh, and he's gone
But these are
home.
the way that they're going to be on the
That's where I put 'em.
ballot, so,
But you guys can move them around.
yeah, and
Just saying.
we can.
I didn't want to load it heavy on the front with one department and then people get tired of voting and then say no. That's all.
That's why we want to
Sprinkle 'em.
possibly strategically place what goes
Yes.
up front,
Right.
or, I don't know, okay. So we have a handful or so we need to go back to.
Yep,
We could
absolutely.
just take these in order if you guys want to, start with
Yeah.
the raises.
Might as well.
We do have some information related to inflation and town raises, and it depends upon the bucket in which you want to look at. Chief Moore did send us some information saying back through 2019, the cumulative inflation was 23, and we've given town raises of 22. If you take that back only to 2020, we've had inflation of 21, and we've given 19. You want to take that only back to 21, we've had inflation of 20, and we've only given 16. Only back 3 years to 22, inflation's been 15.3, and we've given 13. And if you just go back 2 years for 23, 24, inflation's been 7, but we've given 10. So depending on how far back you want to look at that, there may be a case for a cost of living adjustment. And I think we briefly talked about the fact that maybe cost of living and raise pool are separate. So I'll quit talking. And I can restate those if you need me to. And I don't think I mentioned, but projected inflation for '25 is somewhere around 2 to 2.2%. I've seen 2 and I've seen 2.2, so depending on what I was looking at.
What was the first one you threw out, 2019?
Going back through 19, the inflation was overall cumulative 23, and we've given raises of 22%.
What simply boils down to, for me, board voted 3 years for 5% for union, non-union should be treated the same. To my recollection, it never has been, and shouldn't matter. Shouldn't have to be organized to be treated the same by this board of the town, so. And when the discussion came up for that contract, it kind of was talked about that, I at least said that I was gonna stick up for the 5% at least for duration of the union contract, so,
So you're proposing that they be the same,
Yep.
5%?
yes.
Can I just, I don't know that it has any bearing on it, but I think Chief Moore discussed it with Beth and I today a little bit too, is the insurance rate is 22.9% increase. So if you're paying for your insurance, just to let you know, I mean, a 5%, you're still gonna be less. So, that's not that I'm asking you or advocating, we started at 5%. I also need to let you know that Fire Chief Rourke, Jason, DPW Director, and myself have done all the evaluations on those that are not on probation. And Chief Moore, they do theirs a little bit differently, they do twice a year. for their
And kind of around anniversary dates?
Say that again?
Kind of around their anniversary dates?
I believe that
Yeah.
they do it twice a year is what he told me. They
Okay.
try to stay around their anniversary dates, but they do it twice a year. So, we've done ours, those on probation are still on probation, so we can't do those. But those that are not on probation, all the evaluations have been done.
Okay, good. So if we were to say we wanted to tie raises, ask for a pool, but tie the actual money to performance, are we set up to be able to do that?
We probably could make something to be set up to do that. I just thought the conversation today circled a little bit around, even if, in point blank, I'm not included anyway. So 5% is the pool, but 22.9 is the insurance increase.
Yeah, I
So-
was just using those as examples, wasn't saying that was the
Yeah,
number. But if we ask for a pool,
Yeah.
and could you then distribute it based on performance?
You're asking me? Can I distribute it?
Can we, as an entity, are we set up to do that yet? We've been talking about it.
Yeah, we have
So, are we there yet?
Well, will we be there for April 1st this year? Because
better
you've got
question.
you guys have two that you have to finish before April 1st. And if it gets voted on, April 1st is when it starts. Just asking, because you guys, I know, divided up. Again, I have no bearing on any of this. I'll pay my insurance increase and that's it. But others, the two that you guys, or the three, are still part of that 5%. I guess I could look at it, I just don't know, looking at the forms that we use is gonna make that easy, if you know what I mean. So we
Is
have
or is
standard
not?
forms that all of us used.
Okay.
Department-wise, something that we used last year. I don't remember off the top of my head, I don't believe it has a percentage of, how do you put a number on? I don't think it had numbers, but I'm talking off the top of my head too. I could make an attempt at it for next Monday and see what we could come up with, looking at everybody's. Not gonna say I'm not going to, I can tell you that I can try it and see how we can equally do that, but.
Okay. So I think the discussion then boils down to, how much is COLA, how much is a raise, and do we want to tell the townspeople that we're gonna try and distribute it based on performance?
I think we've told them that in prior years, but again,
I think we said we were gonna get to that point, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be.
I know when I first started a long time ago, it was done that way, and you were evaluated, I think, from 0 to 3 or 0 to 4, and your average, every category that you got graded on got a 0, 1, 2, 3. And because I think the most back then was 3%, but in your average number, 2.6, that's what your raise was, but it kind of was, it was put out there knowing that. Guess we're gonna do that, I'd feel more comfortable starting out the gate next year with that, saying, hey, these are the new evaluation forms, this is how we're gonna do it. You know, to all you employees, this, you know, this is the new way of doing raises, so pay attention this year. Kinda just, I don't know, do it at the end of the game, and I don't even know what we got for evaluation forms now for everybody, if it worked that way, really.
They were pared back a lot since when you do them, they weren't 12 pages anymore.
Right.
Right. All I can say
And
is
is
I
that how-
could try to look at it. I mean,
Is that how the, is that how
we all use
the,
the same form.
is that how the union raises are given?
No, they're collective bargaining, so 5% was, everybody gets 5% regardless of the evaluation. It's just across the board.
So I vote for 5% across the board.
5% across the board is in here.
I know, I was just saying that's what I vote for.
Let's say it again.
That's what I vote for.
Oh, okay.
Answers my question then.
I mean, I'm just trying to answer, Janice's point with, I could try to look at it and see what we could do. I just don't know if it's more of a judgment call than a number, because we took away the numbers. So how do you weight, above average? Or what if you're on this end of it versus this end of it, you're still in the middle, I'm happy to look at it. I could put it on my list. Or maybe we could look at it on Thursday. How's that?
Thoughts?
We could do that. Happy to show you what's there.
As far as the merit raise, I think Benji's right. I think it should be something more discussed throughout the year than
Yeah, I do too.
last minute.
I do see the value in that, not
Yeah,
to shoot it out of the
absolutely.
water.
No, I didn't think you were saying no, not ever. It was just,
Setting the expectation.
this is what we're gonna
early.
do, and then go do it.
And this is what you're gonna be judged on.
Right,
This is how,
right, as
I mean,
opposed to.
we could share those through the course.
We're just winging it. And I know we're doing more than that, but kind of might feel that way to the employee. Go ahead, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, so you're given the cumulative numbers through here, so you're just adding the percentages throughout? Is that what you've been doing?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that first number there represents the 9 months. And then the last number talks about an annual number being of 154, 237. That's the difference in the 3 months.
So while you're calculating, I'm gonna ask James if he has any general, before we get into number specifics.
No, I think I like having a cost of living separate from the raises. Can we do that this year? I think I'd be just as happy leaving it like this, with the understanding that we're gonna go and split everything out for next year. That we make it as soon as we can, come up with that plan would be.
So it looks like 3.5% ties us up.
Depending on the
Cumulative
year, yeah.
percentage back to 2019.
Back to 2019, I would say 1 to 2 is gonna get you there.
You're saying the average
Not
this year
including-
looks like 2.
Yeah, not including anything for this year. But we heard your insurance is going up more than 2.2%.
Yep.
By far. So that's not accounted for in the 2 to 2.2.
You have more to, you can discuss this.
Yep.
I know Salem's not here tonight, but you could discuss it when you have 5 too. 5 of you as well.
Well, if anybody has anything earth-shattering before I move on, let me know.
No, I guess I can't reiterate enough that it bothers me that if the board were to vote, the board did vote, you know, in favor, I guess the town voted for it, the taxpayers, but it's the same as they're gonna do for this, but, you know, to go 3 years, 5% for unions, I don't know why we would treat non-union employees any different, and unfortunately, most of the time in history, it has been that way, so I advocate for it, because I always said if I was on this side, I would, you know, I would advocate for the employees, and there, you know, there was a lot of years, 6 years in a row, they didn't get nothing. I know there's been pay increases over the years, so it's not necessarily stuck to those numbers, but, and the year that the town went to paying, the employees paying for a portion of their insurance, they got a small raise, but the raise was actually less than what the insurance cost was, so went back there, backwards there, you know, so, but it still just sticks in my craw. If we voted for one, we ought to, you know, vote the same for the non-union. DBW went union years ago because they didn't feel like the board had their back, and it didn't really work out too well for them, so they, actually, when I took over, they disbanded it, because knew I'd argue for them, but I'm gonna stick up in their favor on this one for this year, stay at the 5%, straight across the board.
Good to move on?
Yep.
Okay. On Article 7, the transfer station revenue change, percentage change, I'd say wait till we can talk to Jason again. And then that brings us down to the police cruiser. In the past, we have put additional monies to offset those. So I guess that's the discussion, is whether or not we want to put any additional money so that it lessens the impact of the warrant article itself. We have done that in the past.
I think that was an amendment from the floor.
I don't know that they've always been amendments from the floor. I thought
I
that.
think last year's was an amendment from the floor.
Yeah, but in prior years, I
Yeah.
think there have been.
In prior years, you've decided what to use with your
Yeah,
undesignated fund balance and offset some of the articles, yes.
But the reason we didn't do that was we had the, we had the totaled car that we replaced and took some money,
well, we've never talked about it for this.
but it was, right, but it was to bring, we were going to take from here, this would increase and the town would have
Yeah.
the ability to
But
build on.
we, at the same time, we said, but we also have the ability at some future time to put additional money down, should we want to do that. So, we never talked about additional money.
And why would it necessarily be just for that article?
It wouldn't necessarily
Oh.
just be for that article, but we had talked about it specific to the police cruiser, that's
Good.
why I brought it up.
Okay, gotcha.
We have that option on any of these things that have a tax
Okay.
impact, you're absolutely correct.
So I'm just starring the ones that we have more conversation for.
Okay.
The next one is, I have for the roadside mowing.
Yep, and that's also a Jason.
Basically, the question on that is if it passes, you willing to drop the line down?
Yeah, it was more on the availability of it. If it's something that he can get that would impact the mowing season for
Right.
25,
Gotcha.
could we then take money out of the operating line item and apply it to this warrant article?
Yep.
So that would be some number of offset. I don't remember how much he had in there, but for some reason I want to say,
It was 12, wasn't it?
yeah, I thought it was maybe 10 or 12.
I think we talked as 10 was kind of a round number because you're still gonna have to have fuel and stuff for it,
Yeah.
right? You're still gonna have some,
Well,
you were gonna drop down
I
the mowing.
think there was
but-
some stuff that he still got to hire here and there for special.
Yeah, it wasn't a
stuff.
total removal
Yeah,
of
no,
the
it wasn't
line.
gonna take it all. I
Yeah.
think it was 10 was the number that reflects in my mind.
The thought was, if we're not gonna be able to get it, then
Yeah.
we're still gonna have to mow.
No, yeah,
So we
that-
don't wanna impact that line item. But
Yep.
if he can get it, if it passes,
Could we offset
Could we
it?
offset it?
Yep.
And the transfer station scales, we wanted to talk about increasing fees. So that's also adjacent. And then the last one would be the Cypre money.
Is that something we could, transfer station scale, is that something we could really put in here? I mean, I suppose he could tell his intentions at town meeting, but.
Yeah, I think it's something that we could definitely use as a discussion point that, if this passes, we will be coming to a public hearing to ask about fees or something like that.
I just don't know if we say that we're going, I mean, I would certainly be in favor of it, but I don't know if it's something we can put.
No, I don't necessarily think that it's something that we put in there. I think we just want to solidify what is our plan.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Just wouldn't necessarily go in the warrant article, would it?
probably not.
Okay, that's what I was getting
Yeah,
at. I
no,
don't
but-
feel comfortable putting that in there. Happy to talk about it at town meeting and
No,
tell
but if
people
he,
that's
if
how
he
it
says,
goes.
well, right now, X, we could do X
Right.
without doing anything, then we could do that in the warrant article, but
Okay.
I don't see that being the case. I could be surprised.
Right.
And then, the last one I think is 19 for Cypre. I sent you guys a message, just summarizing the discussion from Friday's Cemetery Advisory Trustee, Advisory Committee. And if you recall, when, Secretary Tom Flaherty presented in the first part of December, we moved oil mill out of the priority one and moved those down. We got the new quote in, which we did award back on 12/30. So we recalculated, and the one that impacts for 2025 would be oil mill. So we're suggesting that we fund oil mill, we fund the tree work, and cleaning solution that would not be Center Square specific. And that came up to like 31,400 something. So we can either round down or round up. I rounded up. So,
Yep.
so that's how the 32 came about. That finishes out priority one as originally presented in December, and then gets the tree work and things out of the way, so that then the headstone work for priority two can take place the following year. So, thoughts on that?
Seems like a reasonable plan.
Would there be any instance where we might need more for something emergency? Or,
It's possible.
I mean, this year we only spent $800 out of,
We spent all of it.
I mean,
Yeah.
when we started.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
$800.
Yeah. Oh, and that was the other piece of the 32, was the additional 5,000 or 6,000 that was left over from the,
Center Square?
Center Square. No, it was the original money that we
From
got
the
for Center
Eastman?
Square. That's done. And then we had Cypre money left over, and the quote came in at 34,000 something, and we only had 29.
Right, what you was told about.
Which we did, but that, assuming that the other $5,000, $6,000 isn't gonna get work done, that was added into the 32,000. So, I don't remember which one it was, but I can look it up.
And then, just two that I don't know that you want to add, we've talked about, and I don't know, getting projects together, or a list of projects together, but nothing to go in building maintenance this year, and you're gonna get the projects together, put something together for next year, is that correct?
That's what we had talked about, yeah.
And then the last one, I believe I resent the email with our unfunded liability for the current payroll liability, which is $367,447.54 if everybody departs at once. Which is a huge number. So I don't know, I know you talked about either closing it or using some of the $1,400 that is in there, or I think you need to have a discussion. I think I took away from the discussion is if it's a huge amount, do we put money into that and start offsetting it? But that's a decision.
Yeah.
We either add a warrant article or we let it go this year, see what happens.
We did have one person who's already told us they're retiring. And I believe in past discussions, Beth told us that in order to use that 1421, it had to be a warrant article. Is that correct?
No, I believe you guys are the.
I think that was to close it.
Just to
Yeah.
close it?
Close it.
Was to
Okay,
close it.
so
Yeah.
not to use it. Okay.
So you can add to that $1,420. You can create an article to start funding some of your unfunded liability, payroll liability. If you want to, I just need to put one article together. If you don't, as we just talked in the building maintenance, we're gonna hold off for a year. Do we wanna add an article for this or not?
Thoughts?
How much of that do you want to cover? That's the question.
We can only make it 1 year.
I'm sorry?
I can't see us doing anything in 1 year, but I don't know.
Correct.
Right.
You know, I think in years past, I remember, this is 30 years I've been here, but 10K was a number. If you go back to the old town reports, we always used to list how much money we were gonna put away to each fund. And I believe it was around the 10,000 that we started to put away, and then we ended up draining it because we had retirees with a lot of time. We had 30 and 40 years. I mean, we had one from the highway department, was he almost 40? And then I
Randall
know,
was 42.
yeah, and I know when Judy left, it was a lot of time too, so that's kind of ate up the fund.
So this is liability if everyone left,
Right.
but retirement is, what are we looking, we're not looking at the whole
Everybody
town
retiring.
in one day, so
No, but I think it's not just retirement. There is some,
there's some liability.
there's some vacation on there if they left. You don't get paid your sick time for sure.
Yep.
Unless you've been here for a long time, but if you decided to leave and you had 2 weeks, 3 weeks vacation, that's owed you. That's over and above.
Where's that been coming from up till now? Just a general fund?
I think it comes out of their operating budget for whatever department, and then you absorb it in the bottom line. That's what you've been doing. Correct?
Correct.
Do we have an average of what we've been seeing over the last 5 years or so?
In payout,
Mm-hmm.
I can get you that.
Yeah.
That would be helpful.
Because as soon as an employee's off probation, when they leave, they take their vacation with them, their accrual,
Actually,
not just retirees.
5 and 10 year would be nice,
5 and 10
if we
year,
could.
what we've seen. So,
So
Do you
then
wanna
for
dra-
purposes of,
sorry.
I think we're going the same
Yeah,
place.
we are.
For purposes of the public hearing, do we want a placeholder draft and we can always take it off?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Good?
Yep.
Okay, I'll look up the old one.
Okay.
And I'll leave the number blank and see
Yep.
what you want to do. So that would be the only thing.
Okay.
I don't think I missed anything more.
My gut tells me you probably want to cover 10 to 15% of it.
I would think some number, yeah. Okay, that's all I had. I've gone
That's
through
all.
everything.
Yep.
I see we did remove the water from the safety building, the water filtration, so that's
Yep.
been funded by end of year purchase, so that doesn't come on here, so that's a difference if you're looking at this from the last time she handed us out. That's been removed.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
fire truck got shuffled around because
Yep.
if you're gonna finance it, it has to go above your budget.
Yeah, and I did look up the total of the 32 for Cypre. That's the balance of the East and Sugar Hill headstone repairs, which was 5715. And then the oil mill was 22,230. Tree work at Osborne and Wordley together approximately 25, and $1,000 for cleaning solution. So that was the breakout of the detail. If you
So you say there's a buffer in there? Is that what you're saying?
like $600,
Yeah.
550 probably, 505, something like that.
I mean, do we want to at least go another 1,000? Take it to 33?
Are you asking if I would be willing to try and spend more money on the cemeteries that need really $100,000 worth of work, absolutely.
And we have
And
that
I'm just
30,
severely paraphrasing the 100, I know
and we have
it's
that
more than
32 to
30.
33 in the fund to be able to use, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
And she's gonna nod her head, yes. Yes, she did.
Okay.
Yeah, I know it's 100 and plus in the
Okay.
fund.
No, somebody's gonna ask how much is in there, so we gotta prepare for that.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm okay with bumping it up,
The
you know,
33?
3,000 or 2,000, just to, like you say,
We can go
something
35.
unplanned comes up, you got a good plan, but
We can go to 35.
that was the number I thought, I'll be honest with you.
I'm good with 35.
35?
Okay, 35.
Jennings. You good with 35?
I'll be good with it. Drop in the bucket.
Okay. Next was speaking assignments, if we're done talking about drafts.
Okay, I do have a question, though. If you're gonna mess with the order, are you just gonna go with like the topic and that's whatever that article number ends up being, that person? So if you go down from the top and say, all right, who's doing 2, who's doing 3, who's doing 4, I've already given them a number, but if you wanna stick with the item,
I would say that
it would
item,
be easier for
Yeah,
me.
we need to stick with the item because.
Correct.
That's
I-
the way you're gonna prepare for talking, is by the topic, not
Right.
by the number.
No man coverage?
And demand
Man
coverage.
coverage?
yeah, right.
And a lot of times, you move the article and then you hand it off to the department head. You give a little
Right.
bit of a blurb and then you let the department head
Right,
handle
but
the
you
questions.
still need to
Yeah.
work with
sure.
them and make sure that all that's covered. All right, I did briefly talk with Selectman Bloom this afternoon and said, we can assign you, or you can volunteer, and he said, for ease, I'll take anything police. He said he really wanted to talk about the tasers, so he said, I'll just take all police if you
All right.
guys wanna assign me all
I'm
police.
just gonna make a list this way, so Salem is anything police.
Unless somebody wants to take it, but, I mean, you guys are here, he's not, so.
No,
if you-
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Benji? DPW?
I'll- Some of them, I mean, I don't, if you guys wanna talk about some of them, I know a little bit about the truck and the road money, I guess, feel like I could explain it. Like you say, all we gotta do is talk about it for a second, and pass it on anyway. but
Right.
Yeah,
I'm
and then,
happy-
we're also talking about next week in the public hearing, being able to still, talk about it some, as well there. And I mean, obviously, the department heads will be here too. So,
Exactly.
we just wanna make sure it's, like I said last week, it's not like, oh, Benji, would you like to take that? And you're like, I had no idea you were gonna ask me to do that.
So
No,
the
I'm-
exercise is to write a blurb for the warrant?
Oh, no.
What's,
Yeah, yeah, I think, and you can say if I'm wrong, so what we've done before is you take an article and then, you'll move the article and there's a second, and then you can speak to it or you can hand it off. And then what your thought is that you would give a little bit of highlight. Meaning, I mean, Janice did a good job with the budget, so I'm assuming you're gonna do the budget.
Okay.
Just at town meeting.
Just at town meeting. For
town
this discussion, it's just gonna be open forum, but
Yeah,
when
but
we're
if somebody
doing-
has a very specific question
Correct.
about the road, information,
Move it to
you're-
Jason,
Yeah, you're
but-
probably the one that's gonna speak up and go, Director Fisk, would you like to take
Right,
that?
Right.
right.
Yeah. And then what happens is, so we'll go through the public hearing and we'll go through deliberative, because there may be changes from the floor. And then if your article was,
Good night.
if Salem does anything police, like with the tasers, if there was a change made to the taser, then you would be responsible for writing, I don't like the word blurb, but, a little bit
Explanation.
of explanation. And then the first meeting after deliberative, you discuss what your explanations are gonna look like, and then we prepare a mailer. So,
Oh, so we
we're
do
still in
that
the
one.
discussion, you remember doing that, you're still in
Yeah.
the discussion part, because things may come up and make changes, so.
Yeah, so you can certainly draft the blurb explanation, but it's subject to be changed during delivery.
And you guys have to agree on all of the explanations as collective group, and that's what goes to the mailer, and I wait for the schools as well.
Okay.
Okay. I forgot that we
What?
I forgot that our little write-up went into the mailer, I thought it was just.
Goes into
town
the
meeting.
mailer, no.
Forget about that.
And Beth always does a good job for you guys and give you a binder and explains, we only got a few days to do that, but Paige, yeah, I think you remember your binder last year. And Beth puts together a binder and an article, and then there's numbers in there, because there's common questions we get as to what's the balance in here and what's the balance in there, and what do we do for a few years. I mean, we'll put together a binder for you. Are we gonna try to do it for Monday night?
Not for the budget public hearing, that's usually just a spiral bound information
Right,
packet.
but usually, last year you put together that spiral bound, is that what you're gonna do for this coming?
For the budget public hearing, yeah.
Okay, so for public hearing night, you're gonna get a spiral bound handout that Beth provides information to. And then for deliberative session, you get a 3-ring binder with each article with her backup in it. I mean, she sits at the table with us, and you can always ask questions. It's gonna be set up similar to last year.
Okay.
So you're not on an island by yourself.
All right. So I'll take the budget. Anybody want to handle the financing for the fire engine?
Sure.
Dave?
I almost volunteered. David, thank you.
Employee raises?
Employee
I'm just
raises?
keeping with this off topic.
Yep,
I'll do that one.
James?
James. Want to do park as well?
Want to do
I will.
park? Okay. And then detective, you want Salem?
Yep, unless nobody else wants it.
Moving right along.
Transfer station revenue?
Transfer station revenue, Jace,
I will unless somebody else wants it.
Angie,
Doesn't matter.
we'll put you down. Police career development, officer wellness, you want Salem?
Yep.
10-wheel dump truck,
Yeah.
Angie. Police cruiser? Salem.
Okay.
Revolving fund for the fire, for CPR,
Do you want to continue with fire?
May as well.
okay. Road reconstruction,
Yep.
Lucas device,
Okay.
okay, roadside mower,
Might as well, I guess, that's the last one.
nope. Police tasers, the Salem. Does police, the 5-bay carport, is that for Salem too?
Sure.
Transfer station scales,
Yeah, if I'm doing all DPW, I guess that's what you guys want.
body worn camera, Salem. Cypre, Janice,
Sure,
I'm just gonna dictate here, no, I'm just kidding.
that's fine.
Forester, makes sense for Dave.
No, I don't want that one.
Yeah. And the petitions, we don't really get involved with, we take it to the lead petitioner, and they discuss it.
The only comment I'll make on the Forester one that has been discussed before, always kind of wished, they're not always there to speak on behalf of this, and I wish they were, but it's misunderstood sometimes that 25,000 that we're automatic giving them the 25,000. Some years it's all spent, some years it hasn't been nowhere near spent. It's up to that amount, so. Just whoever explains it, and you don't have to explain it that way, but a lot of people when they vote think that, so.
Sure. All right.
And it was, it'd be nice if the commission was there, someone to explain it. Sometimes I think they were last year.
Well, what we have this year that we've never had before is a liaison.
Right, that's true, yes.
Saves been to
One
every-
benefit
So that would
to
be
having
good.
Absolutely.
the liaison.
Yep.
All right. All right, we have 2 items on the consent agenda. Number 412-186-25, that's a lot
Thank you,
number.
guys.
Good night. That's an all veterans credit, and 405-07338 is just veterans credit. So those are in the box to be signed. That brings us to the administrator's report.
Okay, start at the top. You awarded the generator, we did the articles. I have still not heard a reply yet on 75 Worley, but it's on my radar right when we get done town meeting. IT, you opened tonight, you'll award next week. Fire, you had a public hearing. Speaking assignments you've done. Just as a reminder, it looks kind of clunky, but Next Monday, you have 3 public hearings. You have the grant for hazard mitigation funds, which is that federal. The federal for 9 and the offset for 3, making a total of 12. The lease purchase for the fire engine, and then the proposed default and articles. RFP for the cleaning services is also due by Monday. Again, Monday to award the IT, and then just as a reminder, Janice had sent around, and I read, or gave you all a hard copy of the town report. We're in the midst of gathering everything from department heads, because technically by law, I'm supposed to have a printed draft, so I need to have everybody's article, even though it's in a clip. I need to have everything gathered for deliberative session for a tentative, what the town report's gonna look like. I carry it every year, no one asks.
Okay.
I've already got the, I don't have a dedication. Typically, we've always done a retiree. I do have 2 in memoriams. I have got a picture of Janet Brown. Janet Brown was a cemetery trustee. I also have Bill Tiffany, who passed away just, November.
I was say, I thought it was maybe October.
October, November, and so I have him, and he was a longtime DPW, he was Board of Fire Awards, and he was cemetery, so I've got those 2 for in memoriam.
I think that'd be right.
What's that?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
Bill was in a lot of different
and then
places.
typically, if somebody retires, that's who you dedicate the town report to as a,
The following year?
when the year that they retire, we always get together and figure out who retired. Well, we didn't have anybody retire in '24. You do have someone retiring in '25,
Right,
as
that's
you and
what
I
I was
talked
asking,
about,
yeah.
Yep. So that's why, if you guys can look through what Janice did, and I didn't get your yellow parts answered, though.
I didn't. pull
Were
a
they for
copy
me
out.
to answer?
I don't know. I didn't pull a copy out.
Oh, okay. It just said, having started in '23, the town was awarded blank, and we want me to insert the exact amount for the ARPA money?
Yeah.
Okay, and then you had add more about the benefits. Where did you want me to get Chief Moore to answer that for you?
Yeah. Been
And
a
I
week
d-
since I looked at it, sorry.
I
It's all right.
had, do we want anything about the new ambulance we got this year?
Long time coming.
I didn't write anything, but
Yeah.
I just wrote new ambulance. I took the easy route. And
I
the
thought everything else was good, Janice.
Okay.
Cemetery Advisory Committee in the volunteer section.
They're gonna do a report that
okay.
they'll bring you next week.
Okay.
So,
And then planning's also gonna do the master plan subcommittee.
Okay.
I know Andy said he's working on something
Yep.
for the conservation.
Yep, he usually does a nice job. All right, cool, thank you. Then we get down, I don't want things us to lose sight of is the bylaws for parks as well as the job description. The candidates, I told them that we're in progress, but it would be February. Deliberative session is 2/1, which is Saturday at 9 AM. So we'd like to start right at 9. There is, I always tell everybody to bring something because there is nothing there to eat. There's nothing, and those that may have an issue with sugar or whatever, it's just you need to have something. So hopefully we'll be done before 4 o'clock. Last year we were done at 4 o'clock from 9, so we never know what it is. Town mailer, I already talked about. Actually, James, thank you. I got that today, that copy. You included everybody on the right
Oh.
to know, it's completed.
Yeah, and I'm still compiling the previous one.
Okay.
It was a little more piecemeal.
Yeah, Benji, can you reply to me? You're the lone one I need on Bruce Fillmore for emails. I heard from all 4 of you.
Okay.
There was an email request he asked about, I don't have it with me, but
it's a
can you
couple
just look
weeks
at your
ago
email?
now,
Yeah, I'll
maybe
read
2 or
it.
3 now.
So I just need one more reply. That's the top half. I haven't changed much. I did not get it from Mary Ann Friday. I apologize for the building report. Food pantry, I don't think I have.
Can you, when you get a chance, can you check with Chief Moore? I don't think we're still waiting on legal for the traffic ordinance.
I'll double check.
Okay.
Because if we do, he brings it back and then you vote on it.
Right.
Right, okay, Chief Moore.
Because this is the one he had to go to the third party,
Okay.
I believe.
Okay.
Or maybe I'm confusing that with the lease agreements for the towers, but,
The lease agreements went to a third party.
okay.
Boy, I don't think the traffic one did, but
Okay.
Yep.
That could be
it's on my
confused.
to-do list.
Okay.
I don't, I'll leave I haven't touched anything, to be honest with you.
Okay. Any questions for the town administrator?
Yeah, on the bill inspector candidates,
Sure.
do you think Steve might talk to them for,
And thank you
hour
for
or so.
bringing that up, because you'd asked me to scrutinize them, but I think, I don't mind including Steve with it. I just, as we're sitting here, somebody sent me another one. So, I mean, I think we're up to 6. But I would like him, if you guys, I mean, I'll sit with him, but if he wants to scrutinize them, look through them, and then narrow the 6 to 3.
Or whatever he thinks is
Or
appropriate.
4, whatever, and then we could sit and meet with him face to face if you want.
yeah, I think his input would be valuable.
Yeah, because one came through as I was sitting here.
Okay.
Okay.
All right,
That's all I got.
ready to move on?
Mhm.
Okay, we'd like to make a motion to order the treasurer to sign the payroll and accounts payable checks dated January 16th, 2025, is included in the following manifests. Payroll, $79,800.95. 2024 accounts payable manifest, $144,300, excuse me, restart. 2024 accounts payable manifest, $144,333.91. And 2025 accounts payable manifest of $22,765.77, for a total of $246,900.63. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Selectman Pratt. Any discussion?
I'm sorry,
Oh.
did you move those?
I did, yeah. Any discussion other than that? Okay, all in favor say yes or yay?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? Motion passes 4-0. I heard 4 before, so I didn't wait for the abstain, I'm sorry. Okay.
If I'm correct, you have 2 sets of minutes?
Yep.
The 30th and
Yeah, before we move on to those, though, I do have a correction that I need to make for the 23rd.
Okay.
Last week, we had significant changes to the 23rd minutes and voted to approve them as amended. Selectman Pratt did ask if he wanted to see him again, and I think based on my prodding, the discussion was no. After leaving the meeting, however, I believe I may have given bad information during the discussion on what to amend, specifically about a vote being missing on the second non-public session that we had on December 23rd. I stated that we took a vote to seal and restrict those minutes. However, upon reviewing my information from that week, I cannot find that we actually took that vote. So I thought it was very strange that our minute taker would have omitted that, so it got me thinking that was probably my error, not, not anyone else's, so I apologize for that. So I'd like to do 2 things. I would like to vote to seal and restrict the minutes for the non-public session, which I'm referring to as the second session that we had on December 23rd. Therefore, I'll motion to seal and restrict the December 23rd, 2024 non-public session, which was called under NHRSA 91A3, Roman numeral 2A and C. This will require a roll call vote and 2/3 affirmative vote. So, is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Thank you, Selectman Pratt. And this is a roll call vote, so I say yes. Selectman Knapp?
Yes.
Selectman Pratt?
Yes.
Selectman Drury?
Yes.
Okay, great. motion passes. Again, I apologize. So based on that information, I'd like to make a second request and move that we rescind the vote taken last week to approve the minutes of December 23rd, 2024, as amended on January 6th, 2025. Is there a second for that?
Second?
Thank you, Selectman Drury. Any discussion? I believe this is just a simple majority vote required. All in favor say yes or yea. Yes?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? Great. Motion passes 4-0-0. I thank you all for your cooperation, and I apologize for both the procedural error and the informational error, and my apologies to Mrs. Goodwin as well. Okay, now, December 30th and January 6th.
I only took a look at the 30th.
Okay,
I know the 6th came out today.
yeah.
I just have a couple of small corrections for that. On line 92, of this December 30th minutes, we have, refers to chief. I think that should either be either the chief or Chief Moore. Probably recommend,
by Chief Moore?
yeah, I'd say Chief Moore on that one. Line 121, we have where it says this will eat away at the funds. And I think that would be better to say this will prevent the account balance to accumulate funds for updates and purchases.
Can you repeat one more time? This will-
This will prevent the account balance from accumulating funds. Then, what was the rest of that? 121. This, for growth and support.
Okay. Okay.
And then on line 149, we're talking about the surrounding communities having an average ranging from 500, I think just get rid of average. Just say that they range from 500 to 1,000, or just say leave it ranging from 500 to 1,000.
Anybody else?
Line 26, Pratt, it has an E.
Oh, man.
That's all I have.
Line 54. I just wanted to be clear, I know we didn't actually cite what the second RSA was for community power. We had that discussion, but it is not part of their scope of work. That would be a separate commission or something that we add on to that commission. So it's not anything that they're authorized to do, even if the other scopes of work are completed. It has to be authorized, is my point.
So do you want to add something, or
Yeah.
what do you, okay, where do you want to?
Somewhere in line 54, Community Power Coalition, maybe replace other scopes of work that have been completed with until authorized by the Board of Selectmen.
I think that's fine.
So until other scopes of work have been authorized by
Yeah.
BOS?
Yeah. And that's specific to community power, so they,
Yep.
I believe that shouldn't come as any shock to them. 218,
I'm sorry, you want at the end of that, when it says to have been completed,
I think we just replace until other scopes of work have been completed with until authorized by the Board of Selectmen.
Okay, yes, I agree with that.
Yeah, gotcha.
218, the 29,100 is actually 29,140.
$140, okay.
Yep. And then I had the same comment on this one as we had last week. I didn't technically make the motions as we go through here.
Yep.
I don't know if you want me to call all these out.
No, they're highlighted, I believe. I don't
Okay.
think there's ones that weren't highlighted.
Yep. But I can tell you what lines they are. First one, it looks like is on 99.
Yep.
174, 182, 197, 202, and 216.
Did you say 188?
Oh, 188, did you make that
Did
motion?
not. I did.
You did.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And 216? And 232, you said?
216 I did not make. Selectman
Right.
Pratt is the one who moved that.
Yeah, I gotta fix
Yep.
216, and then 232,
32,
and then 235.
232, yes. And 235, yep, I missed those two. Thank you.
Okay.
I did move the manifest, I usually do that.
Mhm.
Okay, I think that's it.
Okay.
So do we want to vote on these as amended, or do you want to see them again?
I'm okay with that as amended.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Then I'll accept a motion to approve the December 30th, 2024 minutes as amended on today, January 13th.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Selectman Drury, seconded by Selectman Pratt. Any discussion? All in favor say yes or yay. Yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain?
16 will hold.
Yes.
16 will be added to, so here then.
Okay. Any committee updates, correspondence, other business?
Yeah, at a Conservation Commission meeting this week. There was a resident that requested approval, which was granted, to use the Phelps Farm Town Forest for nighttime coyote hunting. Question came up as to who should be allowed to sign it. Town administrator stated that the board should stay consistent as the BOS signed the request to trap in the Wood Family Forest. Conservation Commission believed that they are the managers of the land, that is their authority, that is in their authority to sign the request, which I agree. In an effort to save the requester time and not put him off for a couple of weeks to find a spot on the BOS agenda, Conservation Commission did sign the request that night. I believe we may want to have a discussion around that if we believe that they should be signing these, or do we want them to come to the BOS?
You said you agree that they can sign it, right?
They are the managers of the forest. I mean, they're the town representative.
Yeah. And all they're doing is managing the land by allowing somebody to hunt or trap or lease,
Correct.
or not lease, but hunt or trap or.
Correct. They're given
Yeah.
the landowner permission for them to do their hunting adventures.
Yeah, because prior years, we kind of get in, we did Du Bois, and I think that's just the agreement that he's always used. And I don't disagree that they do, our stewards, and do it, but just to be consistent. But as he said, we didn't want him to come in here and have another thing on the agenda we'd already posted. With that being said, I know, a work session would be fine, but it was a short season too. It's only January 1st to March 31st. It's the only time you can night coyote, so.
I'm surprised you So there's a form they need to even ask permission?
So what it is Fish and Game requires permission from the landowner
Oh.
to allow them to night hunt.
Oh.
And just the same thing, and the question was asked about baiting.
Yep.
He's not baiting. I know we had a gentleman come to us years ago to bait bears at the Woods Forest
Yep.
and didn't go to them. So that's when we got in a discussion. And then Mr. Dubois every year traps at Woods's, and then he gives you, you're gonna see a report of what he trapped and when he trapped and things like that. That agreement has been consistent with both parties signing, which I just added to, for future, is to have the CC and BOS discuss process for hunting, trapping permission for landowner. I just think, they are the stewards, correct, but you are the owner.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I think it's probably a good thing to have a 15, 20-minute discussion with them and come to agreement, a formal agreement.
Yeah, I agree.
I have no issue with them signing at this time
Yeah,
personally,
no.
but that way it's clear going forward. So, thanks for recording that.
All right, there was discussion regarding the proposed zoning warrant for the commercial solar arrays, which concluded with the Conservation Commission motion to notify the planning board of their opposition to the proposal and request a table the change request to allow for the inclusion of the Conservation Commission for more collaborative effort in the development of the zoning change for 2026. Discussions have commenced with legal regarding the proposed extension of Skeeto Road that would have significant permanent fill encroaching on a town-owned conservation easement. The forester contract was reviewed and approved with minimal changes to be sent to Meadowson, ultimately to here for final signatures. Ray LeMay reviewed the well at Barden property and reported that it is capped sufficiently. He also reported that there is some work to be done on it, but that can be done in the spring. Chair Fulton will put together comments for the Conservation Commission for the annual report. Naomi was asked to follow up on the with Umbrel for a quote for a new laptop for the Conservation Commission based on specifications previously provided, and she has completed that action. And last, there was a request at the December meeting for me to deliver some concerns from Vice Chair Najjar to the BOS, which I forgot to do. The gate at the Banks Schmid property appears to have been moved at the wood line and is torn apart and worn out. And he is wondering what our action is gonna be with that.
So that, my recollection on that gate is, I don't know who voted in favor of it, but the one at the wood line is dilapidated and it got voted to be moved out near East Road.
Was it moved?
Oh, yeah,
Is
it's
it-
been
it's
moved
in the
and it is,
moved
just nobody
location?
shuts it, so.
Okay.
I don't think, and I think that's his gripe about it, is because it does stop you from being able to access, well, it doesn't stop you. You gotta park on the street to access the wood line. I shouldn't speak for him, but I think that's probably his complaint. He didn't like it when it went in, just because it's out near the street. But I don't remember what board voted on it. It wasn't just done.
to bring the gate to the street?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the landowner brought the gate to the street, and then he shut it,
Right.
and then you can't gate that because
Right.
people have access to it. I haven't been out there in a long time, so is the gate that got moved to the front the one that we're worried about, or the gate that is dilapidated in the back by the tree line?
I don't know.
Did
He,
you,
there is one dilapidated at the tree line, but it,
Yeah, that's the only one I can picture in
but
my
there's
mind.
there's one out by the street, that's right, the landowner, that's what the problem was.
Okay.
because
I
the
don't know
one that
what-
came out to the front of the street, there's two posts, and there was a sign there, and it was closed. And then people were concerned because that was bought conservation land, and you should be able to go up in there. So that gate was taken down. I think the posts are still there, and if I'm not mistaken, I haven't been that way. Is there a sign on that post that says conservation land?
I can't.
I don't remember. I don't go
I
that
don't
way.
recall seeing that, but I hardly
But I
ever
do
drive
know
down there unless
further
I'm-
back, there was a gate,
Yeah,
I
to keep them out
mean,
of the pit area.
to keep them out of the pit area.
So from driving, you can walk.
Yeah, you can walk in, but they didn't want them to drive into that.
Okay.
So what was his actual, to root back to what you said?
Yeah, so that's pretty much what was said, so let me get some clarification on it.
So do they, I guess the first question is, do they want the gate to remain?
Well, that's,
And
yeah, that's,
We want the gate to remain because of the gravel.
right.
as
I
well.
think of the wood line, yeah, and I guess that's conservation, I think it should be there, and I don't think there was ever a problem with that. I think the problem started when the landowner moved it out near the street, because you can't really access, you gotta park in the
Well,
street and
public-
walk all the way through
It's public,
the fields, but.
right.
It was put up because the landowner claimed that there was people driving on his fields, but.
And lastly, he said there's more material at the location that he believes is gonna be spread on the fields. It appears to be more quantity than in the past, and he suggests that the town understand what material is hauled into that property. I don't know. I
Led
don't
right
know
up
who
to
put
one
it
of my
there, why it's
questions.
there.
Led right into my comment, which I was gonna ask, I had a question for you before I commented, so.
Because we sent the notice to.
Yeah, told them not to do anything.
Can,
Saturday they did. Because
Okay.
10-wheelers hauled in there all day Saturday. And I guess that was my questions if it did go out, because that irks me
Nope.
to no end, and they
Nope.
were told to stop. There's no land in the United States that gets hayed for nothing anyway, should be leased agreement, but nevertheless, they hauled stuff in Saturday.
I can reach out to him. I mean, the letter said no, not to do anything until we put it out to bid.
Partial of an old pile there, but new stuff got hauled in this past Saturday.
So is it spread or just piled?
And it's piled next to the spreader at the moment.
I suppose we can.
I should have more answers about your gate question out front, but I was so mad about that. I didn't look at the gate. It was open, that's all I can tell you. But,
Would it be recommended to request that the spreader be removed?
well, I just shouldn't do nothing. I mean,
yeah.
if you're gonna fertilize,
There's
right?
already been a notification, so we'll just follow up on that.
I mean, 'cause there was a whole thing, if we're gonna lease it, and I know there's some people on
We decided not to.
conservation that don't even want it hayed every year. I don't care about that, right? If we do hay it, we don't hay it, we grow
Yeah.
trees, I could care less, but it
There's
just
a-
seems to be what everyone wants to do happens out there and drives me crazy.
No, the decision was, we weren't gonna do anything with it till
Right.
a decision came.
Right.
Exactly.
Right, that's what I thought.
All right.
I just wanted to ask you if there was that I
If
missed
we
first.
could just clarify
but
whether
yeah,
or
you
not
did clarify
conservation
that.
wants the gate or not, and then we can
I'll
talk
get
about whether
clarification
we
on
think
that.
there should be a gate, because of the gravel.
Yeah, yeah.
Anything
That's all I
else?
got.
Anything?
I don't.
Okay. Talked about the agenda for 120. It's primarily taken up with public hearings and finishing hopefully finishing the discussion on the
Just
operating
so it
budget
looks
and the
like,
warrant
this is what it
articles.
looks like.
Yeah,
It looks worse than it is, because there's a lot of words for public hearing.
yeah. But anything, that I know we have a couple bid-related things as well. So if it's not those or budget, if there's anything we can defer to the following week or thereafter, that would be appreciated.
The only one thing is, I have a question for you guys. Could you get here at 6:15, because Jason has a new hire? Could we do that so we can start?
Okay.
That's who was here.
Okay.
He was early.
So if I start at 6:15 with non-public and
That
then
week.
6:30, call to order, and then we have the rest of the agenda. I do have one question for you with correspondence. We received an email, which was a right-to-know request from someone, it says records requester, I don't know who, with regards to some personnel files. I would like to forward that just off to council, just so we answer correctly. I don't know who it is, where he is, because by law, if it's not in New Hampshire, I don't have to respond, but I don't know if this is something else, I don't know. I just would like permission to send it over, and
I thought it, talking about the same one, I thought it was odd to begin with, and then.
I can't find who it is.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an
I
email.
think that's one of the questions that we need to ask legal is, do we even need to respond to this?
Yeah.
Because we can't determine where it's from. And then I believe a lot of the things that are in there are personnel file-related things that would be
Hidden, I mean,
possibly listed but not given.
right.
So I would highly suggest we turn that over to the lawyer.
Okay, I'll turn it,
Anybody opposed?
No.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
But,
Take your time. It's only 9:23.
So we did have the
Oh, sorry,
email from
9:25.
Peter Bailey, and you were gonna respond?
yeah, actually, no, I forwarded to Jason.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
That's it.
Okay. Ready to adjourn?
Oh, before you go, can I have a question? Tomorrow night, Tom, the chair of the finance, asked if I would come and run over the things with the budget. I don't know, can I just give him a bird's eye view of what, just like we did tonight? Is that okay with you? I'm not gonna make any
Comfortable with
commitment,
it.
obviously. They just wanted to be a little bit of heads up before Monday.
Yeah, if you feel comfortable with that, I'm okay with it.
I can run through it with, again, no promises or nothing, because we still have a public hearing. So if you're okay, I'll just run through kind of like I did.
You're there anyway, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that tomorrow, or?
Tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, they want to start.
For finance committee.
I kind of, when we went over things, I gave them a rough idea, but we have whittled a few numbers down since the last time.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Okay, motion to adjourn at 9:26. Is there a second?
Second.
Yeah, you can have it.
Okay. I made the motion, Selectman Pratt seconded. All in favor?
Aye, aye.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes 4-0. I heard 4, so I'm not gonna call the noes and the abstains. Motion passes.